What is up, Earthnoids, Space Noids, and Jovians? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we are returning to the world of Crossbone Vanguard as we begin our coverage of Mobile Suit Crossbone Gundam, Ghost. In this episode we meet our new hero, Belle, who is too smart for his own good, and he accidentally stumbles onto secret plans from the Zanscare Empire. He will meet Curtis Rothko, and we will see the revival Crossbone Vanguard. So let's get into this. Side 3. A young boy named Belle is awoken by his AI Haro named Hararo. Hararo? It was only a matter of time until someone tried to have sex with their Haro. I guess that is achieved in UC 153. Font is the one who made her, which makes this even grosser. Wipe off that screen, bro. He rushes off to school, once the capital of the Principality of Zeon. It is nothing more than a backwater colony, but after years, the colonies are once again pushing for independence. The Zanscare Empire has begun their invasion of Earth, but they haven't touched the colonies yet. Font and his friends spend too much time on the internet. One is caught up in conspiracy theories about the GP Gundam and the Half Zeta, which have been covered up. Web were plans for the Zanscare Empire called Angel Halo. This plays a big role in Victory Gundam. They don't believe the rumors, but it doesn't sit well with Font. That is when a young girl carrying a rabbit stuffed animal comes in and tells him to follow her. She makes him blush. A girl in my personal space, oh no! As he chases the girl, his Hado activates and tells him that his website has been deleted. He lost everything he published on the dark web. Bro, why didn't you have a backup? Even his friend is like, what is up with this digital waifu? As Font runs after the girl, his friend goes, oh well, I guess Font is a lolicon now. You know, calling out the lolicon while having the lolicon is the anime equivalent of calling out bad sequels while being a bad sequel. Looking at you, X-Men franchise. He runs into the gymnasium where the girl is hiding behind a man. This happens to be Curtis Rothko. We of course know him as Tobiah Anorax, the hero of Crossbone Gundam. He tells him that he is with Serpiente Tocon. This is what has become of the space pirates over the years. Font has heard about them on the dark web. The girl with him is named Belle. He knows of his database on the dark web that was just shut down, and he knows that Font knows of Angel Halo. He is the one who shut down his site. He mentions that Angel Halo is something that was created by the Jupiter Republic, but then seized by the Zanscare Empire. Now that Font knows of something that he shouldn't know about, he has two options. He comes with them, or he dies. This is almost beat for beat how Kincaid introduced Tobiah to Crossbone Vanguard. A huge explosion goes off. Curtis says that it is Zanscare, and they are after Font. Outside is a Sandhodge, terrorizing the colony. The MW-544B Sandhodge is designed to crawl on the outer wall of the colony. This thing requires 3 pilots to control. It isn't designed for combat, but it has a beam gun and a tail beam launcher. It could also throw an anchor at enemies. Font looked into Curtis's eyes and knew he was blind. On Belle's ankles are, well, bells, which allow Curtis to follow while Belle leads the way. Hararo tries to give some mobile armor specs on the Sandhodge. Hey, that's my job. Font pushes Belle out of the way. The Sandhodge pilot gets out and points a gun at the young boy. Curtis unleashes the mist. Out of the mist comes Crossbone Gundam XO. The XM XO Crossbone Gundam XO, also known as Crossbone Ghost, is a part of the F97 series, and like the other Crossbone Gundams, are designed mainly for operating around Jupiter. The remains of this Gundam lay dormant for 20 years until Curtis found it. This is similar in many ways to the other Crossbone Gundams, but Ghost is equipped with the specialized sound and headphone sensor system. This is designed around helping Curtis pilot a mobile suit as a blind person. Ghost doesn't have the beam Zamber, but rather a butterfly buster. This weapon can switch between beam saber and beam rifle. Oh, like a butterfly knife. It also retains the anti-beam cloak. Other weapons include head-mounted Vulcans, a beam saber, a heat dagger, the scissor anchor, MVP weapon by the way, a beam shield, and the Kukaju, which is the Peacock Smasher and the Muramasa Blaster in one weapon. Font recognizes the mobile suit from his records. He has read about Operation Thunderbolt Zeus from 17 years ago. The Gundam tears through the Sandhodges. He is amazed that Curtis is piloting the Gundam considering, you know, the eyes. Belle calls him father. Font notes that the Gundam looks like a ghost. Crossbone Gundam appeared on the scene around UC 133. It is said that SNRI made this mobile mobile suit and is considered a part of the Formula project. It isn't known to the public that Crossbone Gundam is a F-97. After the Jupiter invasion, all Crossbone Gundams were destroyed, all but one. This one went on to become an urban legend. UC-136. 7 suits worked together to take down Operation Zeus Thunderbolt. All 7 pilots were said to be killed in action while taking down the colony laser. This was the last known sighting of the Crossbone Gundam. 17 years later, it now stands in front of Font. What was once the Zabi estate is now Zoom City's War Museum. It is being overran by sand hodges. The 3 head underground beneath the War Museum. In the museum are a bunch of Zakus. Font has never seen a one-year war mobile suit in person and notes how big they were. They have to hide out underground for now. Curtis tells Font that the data he acquired was most likely one of his agents who uploaded it onto the internet when he was backed into a corner. But what Curtis finds interesting is that the file was heavily encrypted and Font was able to crack it no problem. He wants to utilize his skills as a hacker. In the museum, we see Zaku 2s, Rick Doms, the Jurek, and Izaga commander type. They look around for something they could use. Belle points at a Gelgu commander type. He knows that they hold an air show, so one of these mobile suits has to work. He asks, Harado. Belle wonders if Font is a boy or a girl. She has never seen another kid before and grew up in a remote research vessel. She then asks if Harado is his waifu. Remember, at the end of Still 7, Rosemary Marie wrote a book about Operation Thunderbolt Zeus. In the book, she mentions that Crossbone Gundam, her former lover, sacrificed himself for her. Of course, this is all made up. Based on Curtis's response, it doesn't seem like he even read it. He says that Crossbone was lost that day, but after 20 years of drifting out into space, he found the lost parts. While discovering the lost parts, they also found something else out there, but he doesn't tell Font. The news says it is a software bug that is causing the Sandhodge to go out of control. Zanscare sends in Zolotes. The ZM-SO6S Zolote is a space combat mobile suit. It is more mobile than most Federation mobile suits, but it is lacking in top speed. This can hold its own to the Gun Easy. It is equipped with a 4-barrel Vulcan gun mounted on each side of the torso, a beam rifle, a pair of beam cannons mounted on the back hardpoints, a beam saber, and a 5-tube string emitter, which is like the beam version of the Adsum's leader. It also has a beam shield. They find a working Zaku which has the Chimera Core logo on it, so it probably was Johnny Ryden's custom Zaku. Font and Belle get into the mobile suit, and it is found by sand hodges. He points his gun at the mobile armors, but it is a fake display gun, so he smashes it against their heads. That is when Crossbone Ghost comes in to attack. The mobile armors go down. They use this opportunity to escape. Curtis hears beam rotors in the distance. This isn't Zanscare. This is Circus. It is a portmanteau that means 1,000 custom, but Japanese people can't say the th sound, so it comes off as Circus. And then you get some idiots over at the wiki taking it too literal and calling it Thocus? Thaucus? There's so many layers of wrong here, but I would recommend just calling it the Circus. They represent the old Jupiter Empire. When Tetaneth took over, the Empire became a republic. Some follow the old ways. The mobile suit is the Defusing. The EMS TCO4 Defusing is a Jovian mobile suit built off of the 1,000 custom philosophy. The hat piece is designed to be a heatsink, similar to the Formula Gundam's heat face. It focuses on close combat and, like many Jovian mobile suits, has superior mobility. The beam fangs can be used as standard beam sabers, or the rotary mechanisms in the arms can be activated, allowing the fangs to serve as a beam rotor, similar to the ones used by the Zanscare Empire. This machine has a flaw in that its computer fails to read older mobile suits. Besides beam fangs, it also has a close combat beam gun. The mobile suit looks like a Dick Tracy thug with a suit and a top hat. These Jovian design choices are certainly something. Curtis says this could get ugly. He goes toe-to-toe with the Jovian mobile suit. We learn that Curtis uses sound to see the world in a similar method to Daredevil, but with new type powers. But if he doesn't know the mobile suit he is fighting, he struggles. He needs Font to describe the mobile suit to him. He says, I don't know man, it has a hat. This doesn't help Curtis. I know he is blind, but that is exactly how I would describe this mobile suit. It's the one with the hat. That's like spot on. He tells him about the spinning claws on each arm. Curtis figures out that he is fighting a Defusing. That is when backup Zolotes and sand hodges come in, but the Defusing pilot is annoyed and kills the Zanscare forces. He says they are fighting the same enemy, but they aren't allies. He focuses his attention on Zanscare and takes them all out. Font has an existential crisis, but Curtis tells him to get a grip. The Circus units are designed to take on 1,000 enemies, hence the name 1,000 Custom. They can't win, they just have to escape. As they flee, the Defusing gets in between them. But to both of their surprise, Font is able to dodge the mobile suit's attacks. Curtis needs Font to focus. He notices that the Zaku is so old and too big that the Defusing computer computer is miscalculating its attacks. Font throws a Gelgoog at the Jovian mobile suit. That is when the Gundam moves in. Curtis doesn't attack, but jumps above him. He kicks the old Zabi mansion, causing a chunk to fall on the Defuse. The two mobile suits flee. The Defuse pilot gets up. Before continuing the chase, he looks at the birds. The Gundam and the Zaku make it out of the colony to find a ship that looks like a blossoming flower. The Manzana Flor is an interplanetary ship made by the Jupiter Republic's Jupiter Foundation. It took 10 years to develop and construct and was built with the assistance of SNRI, mainly working on the Minovsky drive system. This new propulsion system has been improved. It can now travel from Earth to Jupiter in 150 hours, or 6.25 days. That is slightly faster than the wings of light in the past, which is 7 days. The sails of light can also double as a beam shield. There are no armaments and relies solely on mobile suits for defense. Belle tells them that this is their mothership. They dock with the ship and take off before the Defuse can catch up with them. The pilot gets a call. We learn that his name is Jack Friday. His name matches his mobile suit. He won't let Font get away. The next day, Belle comes into his quarters and says, "Let's be friends." Curtis says making moves at her on Jupiter is considered the death penalty, as she is royalty. "Don't touch my daughter, you lowly freak." They go watch a message from Tetaneth Dogati. Belle mentions that this is her mother. Tetaneth tells them that they discovered information regarding where Zanscare has taken the Angel's Call, which we know is Angel Halo. Serpiente de Con will act as special forces separate to the needs of the Jupiter Republic. From this day forward, Serpiente de Con will return to their original title, Crossbone Vanguard. She accepts if this divides the people of Jupiter. We see that Yona and Harrison is still a part of the team. Curtis says that she puts too much faith in people. Font doesn't see the resemblance between Curtis and Belle. Yeah, man, he got that reverse Michael Jackson from that solar ray blast. How does he not have skin cancer? He wants Font to get to work finding intel on the Angel's Halo. While researching earlier, he learned that the Angel Halo has something that will send mankind back to infancy, but he doesn't know what that means. But he thinks it is a bioweapon. Curtis says you are kind of right, as he happens to know. He shows Font a meteor. The meteor isn't important. What is important is living on it. It is a microscopic organism. This is the first extraterrestrial life. We got aliens in Universal Century. Suck it, Space Whale from the cosmic era that went absolutely nowhere. This is what they were referring to as Angel's Call. However, they have a pathogen that seems to cause a fatal disease to humans. Font learns that Angel's Call is in fact an airborne bacteria that is deadly to humans. He wonders where it came from. Curtis says, "Sit down and let me tell you a story of Tetaneth Dogati. She was the daughter of Crux Dogati and was with family on Earth during Jupiter's invasion. Of course, we know that she was with Tobiah and Crossbone Vanguard. She returned to Jupiter to find it poorer than ever before. Crux left her his entire fortune. Wanted to help, she took her wealth and distributed it equally to the people. But the socialist approach only worked for so long. They needed to establish themselves within the Earth sphere. She devised a 3-part plan. The first was a manned outer planetary survey called the Argos Odysseia. The second was to create the Manzana Flor. The third part would be working with Side 2 to construct the Angel Halo. Originally, it was designed to transport 100,000 people to Jupiter and was never meant to be a weapon, but Zanscare and Side 2 use it for riot suppression. It uses a technology called cyclotron web that puts people in a stasis. Of course, people use this for evil purposes. Tetaneth met with Fons Kagati in the hopes of partnership with Side 2. If you are following along in our coverage of Victory Gundam, Fons Kagati is about to make his appearance as the Queen's right-hand man and Prime Minister of Zanscare. Of course, they had a hidden agenda. To rectify this, she decided to join the Argos project. This would be a 10-year survey that would travel to Neptune, Saturn, and your butthole. However, shortly after the journey began, she realized she was pregnant. Font remembers Belle telling him that she never met another kid before, and it is all starting to make sense. He asks Curtis if he is Belle's father. He says, "Don't you dare say that again, I will hurt you." "Nah, just kidding, you're alright. But I will hurt you. Do you hear me?" "Nah, we're cool, you're cool." Font knows he is hiding something. Communication with Jupiter was possible, albeit delayed. 100 other people joined the project as well. Once they were returning to Saturn's orbit, Curtis began looking for what he called Ghost, when they are met with Aaron, an old friend of Curtis who brought them the newly built Manzana Flor. The two friends catch up. We learn that there was an accident with a Crossbone Vanguard ship 20 years ago. This is the Ghost he is referring to. Curtis knows based on its trajectory, it should be somewhere around Saturn right now. It is close by. The two use the new Manzana Flor to go exploring. They eventually find the ship, and with it, the Ghost, a Crossbone Gundam that was never used before. They notice a meteorite that crashed into the ship. They don't think anything of it until they board the ship. On the bridge, they notice nothing but floating clothes and black sludge. They grab the flight manifest and head back to the Manzana floor, where the first thing Curtis does is take a shower for some reason. He gets word from his scientists that this is a bacteria. Tetaneth comes running in saying that their dreams of finally coming into contact with alien life have come true. Curtis says maybe don't get your hopes up and let the scientist finish talking. Yeah, Tetaneth really jumped the gun because the scientist says that the sludge they found was once the former crew of the ship. This bacteria seems to be deadly to humans, and it melted the crew. That is when the ghost ship is attacked. It happens to be Aaron. He has heard enough to know that he must destroy the sludge virus. However, not before getting a sample for himself. They think that Aaron is going to use this on Jupiter, but he actually plans on using it on Earth. He says that the true people of Jupiter have always desired to destroy the Earth. Crux Dogati represent! There are still many who are loyal to Crux. He wonders who Curtis really is. Remember, Tobiah took on the identity of Curtis, which was Europa's former lover who died. He isn't friends with Tobiah, he is friends with the old Curtis. And Aaron knows, based off his mannerisms and behavior, that he isn't Curtis. He launches from the ship in the Papillion. The Papillion is considered a mobile cruiser and has 2 Minovsky drives installed. It looks like a giant cicada robot, and its insect-like wings are wings of light. It could use the wings of light as a beam shield as well. Curtis is regretting taking that shower and getting comfortable. He rushes to get into Crossbone Gundam. 2 battalions protect the Papillion. Aaron mentions that he was planning on killing everyone on the exploration survey, but decided not to since Curtis was on board. Curtis takes out the 2 battalions, but the Papillion takes off. They realize that they have to return to Jupiter. Curtis tells Font that this is pretty much everything up until this point. He went to Earth on Menzana floor, while Tetaneth returned to Jupiter on the Argo ship. She is trying to prevent any hardliners from uprising. Aaron was able to get to the Earth sphere 1 month faster than them, but they haven't yet unleashed Angel's Call. Font recalls back to a Zanscare pilot looking for Angel's Call. This means that it hasn't fallen into Zanscare's hands yet, nor has it attacked Earth. This is where Font comes in. He's going to have to find the location. Font wonders about the Circus team. They're most likely Jupiter hardliners making moves of their own. Not only are they after the Papillion, but Zanscare and Circus are going to be a problem as well. Everyone wants their hands on this. Font uses his Zaku as a quiet place to get some work done. He is starting to realize that he may be in over his head. That is when Belle pops out. She was stowing away in his ship. She was supposed to return to Jupiter to meet up with her mother, but she doesn't want to. Font thinks to himself, she's not bad, but she's kind of young. But on the other hand, she is sitting in my lap, but she is out of my age range. But Belle tells him that she needs his help. She wants to find out if Curtis is a real dad. She shows him a photo of who Tetaneth claims is her father, who died during an accident. But after Aaron turned on them, she is starting to question it herself. He promises to help her out. He tells Curtis that he is struggling, and the best way to break into Zanscare's systems is to have one of their computers. Curtis says, you're in luck. They have intel that Zanscare and Circus are meeting on the moon, and they're going to spy on them and use their terminals. It's time for the space pirates to make their return. 8 people of Serpiente de Con, now Crossbone Vanguard, can't go on with the mission. Since Aaron said that Curtis is a phony, it has sowed doubt amongst the crew. He has to address this. He essentially tells them that he can't prove that he is Curtis Rothko, but if they ever expect that he is a traitor to Jupiter, they have permission to kill him. The big guy of the group says that he will take him up on that offer if the time comes. Font is concerned about the division amongst the crew, but Curtis is dwelling on the fact that some of these men won't ever come back from this battle. Font didn't understand the weight of what he was feeling at that time. They head to the moon to spy on Zanscare and Circus. These assholes are just hiding under a moon-colored blanket. Come on guys, it's UC-153. The Zanscare are rocking the Adrastea-class ship. The Adrastea-class is a bike battleship designed for Earth, but can be used in space and on the moon as well. Its armor is relatively weak compared to similar battleships of the same size. Its design is focused on intimidation factor. The wheels can rotate horizontally when in flight mode. It is equipped with 8 2-barrel main guns, 2 main guns on each side of the wheel, a 3-barrel main gun, a 2-barrel secondary gun, and 36 single-barreled support weapons. Font's intel tells him that this most likely belongs to the Golden Eggs team. The other ship looks like a literal traveling circus tent with a beam cannon, and there doesn't seem to be any intel on this unit. The Circus heads into the Adrastea class to find Jabacos waiting for them. I am going to wait for a coverage of victory to break down the Jabaco. Their commanders on the command deck, watching. The Circus mobile suits are cloaked, but the pilots show themselves. They're all wearing masks. Battle of the Shark clones over here. The Zanscare commanders call their masks silly while wearing those stupid little wigs, which is just beautiful irony. They wear masks because they have been branded as criminals. The leader of the circus is Quo Gray, who is not wearing a mask. Staying thematic with the circus motif, he is the ringleader of this squad. He meets with his Zanscare commander, Kizo, via a hollow projection. He isn't actually there. Minovsky particles seem to be working now, huh? Kizo wants to work with the circus, but he doesn't know if they could trust them. Quo doesn't seem to care about Angel's call, but rather looking for allies as they are trying to overthrow Tetaneth's pacifist ways. Kizo doesn't believe in their 1,000 versus 1 philosophy that the circus follows. He needs proof. That is when Crossbone Vanguard begins their attack. It is just Curtis and Crossbone Gundam, Font and his archaic Zaku, and a few battalions. Curtis goes in and destroys the bridge. Then Font moves onto the bridge to gain access to Zanscare's network. Curtis helps defend him. Kizo says that he is the one who called the space pirates. He wants to see the circus in action. He has no problem throwing these wig-ass wearing crew members under the bus, or under the Adrestia-class ship in this case. He also tipped off the League of their location as well. It may not be exactly 1,000 versus 1, but it is a good enough test for Kizo. He says if they survive, they will work together. League Militaire comes in attacking with the James Gun and the Black Victory Gundams. Crossbone Vanguard doesn't want to attack the League, but they just view them as space pirates and begin attacking. That is when the circus makes their appearance. We have already introduced the Desfis, but we also have the Lalo, the Galahad, and the Bonzo. The EMS TC-01 Lalo is a 1,000 custom mobile suit developed by Jupiter. It has similar design concepts to the Einarad and the Gedlov of the Zanscare Empire. However, this unit is very small, standing at 10 meters tall. The ride ball is considered a subflight system technically, and is used mainly for defense, but it can deploy beam blades. The Lalo also has a 2-muzzle beam rifle. The TE-MS TC-05 Galahad is a 1,000 custom mobile suit that evolved from the Ditkiss. The oversized left hand is essentially a miniaturized Ditkiss hand and has an eye-field generator. The arm can attach from the unit and is controlled via a wire, essentially making the hand a wired mobile armor funnel. Other weapons include a beam rifle and 2 beam sabers. The EMS TC-06 Bonzo is a 1,000 custom mobile suit that is a heavy armored mobile suit of the circus team. It has 4 micro-missile launchers on its fat belly. It is slow and is heavily armored because it gets hit with its own missiles. The missiles are designed to aim for the target's backside. It could produce a missile barrage called the Missile Storm. It is also equipped with the high heat bullet, which melts its enemies after penetrating the armor. Other weapons include a beam saber and a beam shield. One of the circus mobile suits remains cloaked and hidden. Curtis is surrounded. Font is able to finish the backup of the Zanscare system. All units start to fall back as their goal isn't to take out the enemy. They aren't going to touch the circus or the League. Battalion pilots start going down. 3 Black Victory Gundams are piloted by the Shrike Rear team. This is Yi Lychee, Du, and Trace Morris. It should be noted that Trace is piloting the Victory Gundam Hexa, which we will break down in Victory proper. They find circus mobile suits very grotesque. The circus goes up against 30 League mobile suits and 8 pirates. Since there are so little, Roka, the pilot with the cloaked mobile suit, chooses to opt out. He is holding and watching over Quo Gray as well. They forgot about the Jabakos who go into action. Also amongst the ranks is a Zong. The ZMGE-03 Zong is heavily influenced from Xianzhang. The Zong has no legs and is armed with a pair of 5-barrel megaparticle guns in its arms. It also has the ability to separate its body into various parts for all range attacks. Other weapons include 5 beam sabers emitted from the megaparticle cannons. They now have a total of 48 enemies. Jack Friday in the Desfis goes after Zanscare. Kosher and the Bonzo takes on the League. Ronald and the Lalo handles the pirates. They begin fighting. The Desfis dodges the Zong. Zanscare attacks the Galahad, but it tanks their attacks with its eye field. The Galahad's hand spins around the mobile suits and begins crushing them one by one. James guns surround the Bonzo. They wonder why it's just stalling and standing still like that. Suddenly, hundreds of micro-missiles shoot out in all directions, hitting the James guns. These can penetrate beam shields as well. They don't understand that the missiles specifically target the backside, and they think they are just getting attacked from behind. These aren't Psychomu controlled. They just have enough AI to detect passing an enemy, then it goes in reverse and blows up on the backside. A clever and effective way to make a Psychomu-like weapon without all the R&D. The Lalo bounces around distracting Crossbone Vanguard. Curtis is going to have to fight to make a path. While Font is panicking, he hears a noise and realizes that Belle stowed away again. That is when the rear strike team moves in on both mobile suits. Curtis has no choice but to attack them. Ronald? Wait, hold up. The circus member that looks like a clown is called Ronald? This world has McDaniels, and you make a McDonald's reference? Get out of here. That being said, if McDaniels did have a mascot, it would be that creepy clown in Dotonbori in Osaka. It's so creepy looking. Anyways, Ronald lets the pirates and the League fight, and he will kill the winner. He notices Font and the Zaku. The Zong is no match for the Desfis. Jack Friday says that Psychomu tech is a thing of the past, and they could all read psycho waves. He smashes the face of the Zong and destroys the unit. If the cockpit is in the head like the original Jiang, that dude's dead. Curtis is holding his own against the Shrike rear. I'd like to hold the rear for the Shrike team with my They work really well as a team, but Circus notes that they don't have any strong points. He slices off Du's legs. Yi jumps into action and ejects her boots and gives it to Du. There is an infinite amount of strategies that one could go about having a 3-person team of 3 transformable mobile suits. In this case, 2 run support while the other attacks. When an attacker loses a part, support comes in to provide their G parts. We do see a little bit of this to an extent in Victory Gundam proper. This is the first time that Curtis has experienced the Victory Gundam, and it is throwing him off. Font, who has stumbled onto this info while hacking, knows of this. His mission was to retrieve the intel and run. Now that Belle is here, he has to get out of here. But Belle wants him to help Curtis. Font doesn't know what to do. That is when Belle activates her Newtype powers. Suddenly, Curtis is able to see. Belle is using her Newtype senses to allow Curtis to see what she sees. Font decides to head in. As he gets closer to the battle, Curtis's sights get better. Font essentially hangs out next to Curtis, acting as his eyes while trying not to die. Curtis is also tripping out because he is seeing himself in the third person, but he gets used to it. He uses a classic weapon on the Gundams, the scissor anchor. He also opens his mouth to vent heat. While the League and Crossbone Vanguard fight, the Circus just kicks back and watches. Curtis destroys the boots of all the Gundams. They are all disarmed, but not killed. Curtis should be mad, but he thanks the 2. Belle suddenly passes out from new typing too hard. Curtis's vision becomes blurry and eventually goes away. He is mad that he was able to see the world, and it was only on the moon. He just saw rocks. Curtis tells the Shrike Rear team to eject quickly, but it is too late. The 1000 Custom team approaches. Quo Gray introduces himself. He wants them to hand over all data on Angel's call that they have. Kizo told them that they need to bring him back alive. What? But I thought you wanted to test their skills. That makes no sense. Trace calls him a perverted old man while licking her lips. Talk about mixed messages. Quo says that he is going to count down from 10 and he hopes that they surrender before then. Font touches the chain connecting the scissor anchor and is able to skin talk to Curtis. He was able to spot their comrades. They are still alive, sending them Morse code and are ready to launch some boosters in their direction as distractions. They tell the Shrike team to work together to get out of here. Tress asks to see Curtis's face. After seeing it, she can work with him. Once Quo counts down to 0, a booster comes barreling in. Curtis uses the scissor anchor to explode the booster. The Desfist jumps out of the blast and attacks Crossbone Gundam. More boosters come crashing down. It only disrupts their vision. While distracted, they use the 2 remaining boosters, and they all hang on tight as they retreat. Kizo is pleased overall with the performance of the Circus. They didn't kill them, so there can be an encore fight. Kizo said he secretly sent a package to their space pirate leader. They should be heading towards their ship at this very moment. Crossbone Vanguard was able to make it back to the ship. They lost 4 people on this mission. They find the package left by Kizo. Font wonders what it is. Curtis is like, oh, that? That's probably a head. The Zanscare Empire loves using the guillotine. Curtis meets the Shrike Rear team. They don't trust him completely, but they will work together for now against Zanscare. They were tricked with fake intel about a fleet on the moon, and it got 30 League soldiers killed. Font finds out that Eren and Fonz Kagati have met multiple times over the past month, but they couldn't come to a deal, and Eren still has Angel's call. He says that he is certain of the location of the 2's next meeting. Curtis asks Font to stay with him for 1 week, and then after that, he should leave. He is conflicted and ends up telling Tress of the Rear Shrike team. She consoles in him, but it slowly devolves into her putting his face in her tits while suggesting he joins the League. Font runs away, probably because of boner. He stumbles onto Curtis drinking with the box that contains the severed head. He believes it is one of his old friends. His old friend once said that they should try to create a world where peace can exist for 100 years. Do that, and then do 100 more after that. The spy who got the intel of the meeting on the moon was this friend. He is mad that he can't look at the face. Font says, "I'll do it." He looks at the face and instantly hates humanity. Cartoon Meat is a mining colony on Side 5. What an unfortunate name. No one will ever take you seriously, Colony. Font's parents are currently located here. We cut back to one day before. Coral Gray contacts them, telling Font he knows of his parents, and if they don't show up in 24 hours, they are going to start beheading citizens. Curtis tells Font that his parents will be safe, but it doesn't help the citizens. That is when he gives Font a good old bright slap. He says he shouldn't have shown him the head. He says that a human can only do what is within their abilities. He tells him not to be reckless and that he will think of something. This is going to slow down their search for Angel's Call. He tells him not to act alone. We then cut to Font acting alone. Oh boy. He takes one of the Victory Gundam's core fighters. Neo Texas at Side 5 is going through a battle between two Circus mobile suits versus the League's James guns. Font is just watching the one-sided battle. He is starting to realize what Curtis was trying to tell him. Curtis is informed that Font is gone, and at the same time, Yi Lichi runs in, saying Victory Gundam is gone. Curtis laughs and says, "Ah, youth. I was an idiot like that when I was young." But then he is informed that Belle stole the Zaku and followed him. Curtis stops laughing and takes it more seriously. Font notices the Zaku following him, and that it is Belle. She wants to help him and wants to run away from Curtis, as he never seems to want Belle's help. A Zanscare cruiser passes by, and the two go inside. Cartoon Meat. See, this is why I can't take any of these Gundam names seriously. He tells her that he is somewhat familiar with this place. They ditch the Zaku and get back into Victory. He tells her about how his dad used to bring him along on mobile worker excavations when he was younger. They drifted from mining colony to mining colony. He was tired of moving around with his parents, and he decided to stay at Side 3 for school as they continued drifting. He can't take Belle with him when he goes to protect the colony. That is when a hatch opens from above, revealing Death's Fist Gundam, ready to fire. The Circus mobile suit goes in to attack. The core fighter ejects, trying to flee, but he loses balance and crashes. Jack Friday wonders why a girl is in the cockpit. Font wakes up to blaring pain in his shoulder. He is surrounded by the Circus. Coral Gray says, "Welcome to the cage, bitch." He asks where Belle is, but no one knows what he is talking about. He lies and says it is the voice of his AI system. They will need that as it is a shortcut to Angel's Call. He thinks it is just dates of a meeting between Aaron and Font's Kagati. It doesn't have that much value. He says to let the people go, but Kizo shows up on the monitor and says this is not a negotiation. This guy doesn't seem to be working with Font. Font thinks to himself. He knows that his parents got off planet with the help of the space pirates. So Kizo says he is going to start chopping kids' heads off in 6 hours. He decides to look for this Belle person he mentioned earlier, and they throw him with the other children. Jack beats him up a little bit and takes him to the kids, where Belle is with them. Jack says that he will not hesitate to kill mobile suit pilots, but he has no interest in hurting children. However, that doesn't seem to matter as Kizo wants to chop off their heads. He can get Belle out, but she won't leave without the other children. Font tells him to help him since he is so against this mission. Jack wonders what he planned to accomplish coming here. This reminds him that he is here to save the children. Ultimately, there is nothing he could do for them. However, when passing through the hangar to the children, Font saw a cloaked mobile suit called the Phantom. Jack says no matter what, don't touch that mobile suit. That one right over there, don't use it to save the children. Just don't do it. Don't. Jack leaves the room thinking he expects too much of this kid. They have to first find a way out of this room. Belle opens her stuffed bunny she is carrying. She says she always carries 7 tools. Let's see what we got. We got a mini saw, a mallet/hammer, a soldering iron, a crescent wrench, an Allen wrench, and pliers. Hello, my name is Belle. Welcome to my Everyday Carry YouTube channel. What's in your pockets, ladies and gents? Whip it out. They pop open a panel so he and Belle can find a way to free them all. He tells the oldest kid that he has to be brave and watch over the other children. He promises he will save them. While saying this, Font is thinking, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm making promises I can't keep. Also still doing the lip thing on the black people in manga? Only Mr. Popo is allowed to do that in a post-9/11 world. Font crawls out towards the cloaked mobile suit. It has been 5 hours. Font has been calibrating the mobile suit while also connecting to the networks to extract Harado. He is still in so much pain from his shoulder. Jack mentioned earlier that this Phantom has an operating system that can't be trusted. He uncloaks the mobile suit to reveal the Phantom. The EMS TCO-2 Phantom Gundam was the second 1000 custom unit created by the team and is designed to be a trump card for Jupiter. It incorporates the Minovsky drive system and is designed to travel between Earth and Jupiter. It utilizes a mobile armor form when doing interplanetary traversal. This too follows the 1000 custom philosophy. It incorporates battle data from an Amakasa, and the Minovsky drive comes from a stolen F-99 by Callisto's Shadow. However, they never cracked the Minovsky craft technology and produced an inferior operating system. Like most Formula mobile suits, it has the biocomputer. The wings of light are referred to as phantom light, which emits a ghostly light gas. It only works for 15 minutes due to the failure of reverse engineering it, but it does produce an eye field barrier. Other weapons include a flame sword which destroys eye fields, and the Butterfly Buster B, which is a slightly better version found on Ghost Gundam. Font blasts through the door. Soldiers shoot at the prototype Gundam. He uses the flame sword's hilt to block the door. Quo realizes that the Phantom has been activated. He blasts through the door where the kids are and packs them all up in a tarp. He enters into the colony, where the balancer starts to act funky. He realizes that there are 2 operating systems in use here, one created by the Jovians and one made by SNRI for the F-99 that the Jovians couldn't crack. He has to figure it out. Jack Friday is getting drunk when he is informed that the children escaped and they have to sortie. On top of that, they have met a small resistance outside of the colony. He realizes that the children are safe. He is happy because now he could kill Font without worrying about the children. Yay? Font sets down the children within the colony and they all flee towards their families. When the Deathfist suddenly attacks the Phantom, Jack goes, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you." Font says, "I thought you didn't want to do this, you're confusing me, bro." The Galahad comes in, making it 2-on-1. Font tries to strike, but it is useless as the Galahad is faster. He thinks of Belle with the children. Earlier, she was playing with strings similar to Reese in F91. Just like F91, this makes Font realize that this is the pin pattern to activate the operating system. He is reminded that F91's biocomputer uses the same pattern. It isn't some complex algorithm that Jupiter could crack. It is something built into Earthnoid culture, a cat's cradle. Galahad is dragging the Phantom. Quo and the Circus has rounded up the children and Belle once again. He has the guillotine ready. The bell tower chimes at the top of the hour. It is time to cut some heads off. Kizo announces to Neo Texas Colony that they will proceed to chop off some heads. Desperate, Font says he will join them. Kizo is happy, but he believes that true loyalty is bred out of despair. He wants to break him. The OS on the Phantom reboots. Even Jack Friday is uneasy about this. They grab a random kid. At that moment, the oldest kid speaks up, the one with the lips. He says he will go first since he is the oldest. Quo says sure, why not? The Phantom's OS finally reboots and activates the Wings of Light. He judo chops the guillotine in half. Jack Friday comes in sending more deadly mixed messages. Font is able to disperse Jack's beam attack. He lands his first attack and knocks over the Deathfist. The Galahad comes in from behind. Font calms down a little bit. He is able to keep up with the Circus mobile suit. Hidato tells him of the Wings of Light and how this produces an eye field around his whole body. This is to stabilize the Minovsky drive. He unsheaths the flame sword, which utilizes the Wings of Light and rushes towards the Galahad. He cuts through his beam shield. Jack thinks maybe I'm not doing the right thing. As he stands up, into the colony comes Curtis and the League fighting Zanscare. The rear strike team is there as well. The citizens come in fighting to save the children as they have had enough. You just now had enough? Not when your kids were about to lose their heads? Okay. He is mad at Font for going off on his own as he was planning an all-out infiltration of the colony. However, if they waited like he wanted, the kids would most likely be dead. The Galahad grabs the Phantom with its giant arm and throws him, but Font goes full throttle. He opens his face vent. Oh hey, this Gundam has a face vent like the other Formula Gundams. That wasn't mentioned in the breakdown. Thanks, Gundam Wiki, you asshole. Galahad swings him around, but he tries to fight it. He swings him around and breaks the tether to his giant arm. Font throws up from all the G's he probably just took. It is extremely hot in the cockpit. The Wings of Light are overheating. Everyone is down. Belle chases after the Phantom, but Gordon in the Galahad grabs a beam rifle and aims at the Gundam. Jack in the Deathfist rushes in and tackles the Galahad before he could shoot. Then Curtis comes in and slashes at the cockpit. Jack realizes he just betrayed his teammate and goes to help Gordon. Gordon is coughing up too much blood. He is a dead man. Jack will end it swiftly for him. He says that he hopes Jack gets the death he deserves. The Deathfist impales the cockpit and kills Gordon. The Black Victory Gundams come up behind him. They tell him not to move and capture his unit. Kizo's hologram head is still hanging out. Font grabs what remains of the guillotine and smashes it on the ground in front of Kizo. It's time for Quo to retreat. He snaps his fingers and the cloaked mobile chute shows itself. This is the Ballerina. The EMS TC-03 Ballerina is the antithesis to the Defused and focuses on long-range attacks. Both legs contain a thin, variable speed beam rifle in what is called the Needle VSBR. Since output produces a smaller beam, it allows for longer time on the field. Like other VSBRs, they can have a high output while maintaining firing speed. But of course, they will eventually overheat. The legs are barely legs and would buckle under Earth's gravity. Other weapons are a beam rifle and beam blades mounted on the forearm. He fires the VSBR, but Font is able to deflect and disperse the beam blast with his eye field. The pilot, Roka, says this is only a fraction of his power, and he takes off. Font passes out from exerting himself too much. Curtis pulls him out of his mobile suit. While in a lucid state, he remembers Curtis's friend who wished for 100 years of peace. He says that is a worthy goal, worth living for, and makes it his personal goal as well. Zanscare and the Circus was able to take Font's tablet. Kizo wants to leave the colony intact, as he thinks if they return, they will surrender immediately, and he will get all of the glory. Quo Gray thinks to himself, oh, it's like that, huh? Meanwhile, back at the mining colony, Cartoon Meat, Font has been in his room for the past 2 days. The rear Shrike girls try to wake him up. He seemed to have changed since he was captured. The girls tease Trace about liking younger boys. The Phantom gets the Crossbone Vanguard skull added, and he decides to call it Phantom Gundam, and he says he will never pilot it again. Sure, if you're not piloting it again, then why are you the hero of the story? Explain that. Arno was transferred to the Phantom's computer and seems to be tangled up with many processes. They aren't going to be able to untangle her. However, Font has to intercept some Zanscare messages later, so it looks like he is going to have to do his work in the Phantom cockpit. Arno is now the navigator for the Gundam. The pirates were able to retrieve the Zaku. People are still watching Victory Gundam, and they weren't able to retrieve it. That is when Belle comes in and hugs Font. All the mechanics think he is going to get the death penalty for talking to her. She takes Font to go visit the children. Font is like, wait, I don't want this. I value my life. The kids they saved are in the med bay. The nurse tells them to come back another time as she doesn't want to trigger any PTSD. But the kid with the lips calls out to Font. He shares that he peed himself. All Font does is hold his hand. Curtis asks Font once again if he is sure he is ready to walk down this path. He says yes. Curtis wonders if he is going to regret it. He says, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to regret this. He reminds them that they aren't a military, but they have a few rules. Follow Curtis or the leader's directives, even if you have an idea that may be better. If the leader is not present, they are free to make a judgment call. Don't worry, these rules will be instantly disregarded. He re-welcomes him to Crossbone Vanguard and punches him in the gut. He literally says, oh, you little rascal. Curtis also tells him that some of the kids that he saved were from rich families. They gave him a reward. Font is now rich. He doesn't know what to do with it. He suggests using it for weapons. Curtis goes, calm down, you aren't that rich. Belle once again rushes in and grabs Font. As they run out, Curtis sarcastically says that that's the death penalty. The two go to the trial of Jack Friday. He just claims he was doing the job he was paid to do, but he failed at that as he killed his comrade. They ask him if he wants to join their ranks. He has no interest in joining a cause, but is willing to help if the price is right. The people of this council aren't capable of judging him here, so they are going to move him to Jupiter where he will receive a proper punishment. As they take him away, Belle gives him a piece of chocolate. She wants to help him somehow. Font doesn't know how to, however. Belle says he is just like Font. Later, Font receives a letter from his parents. He won't reunite with them to protect them from Zanscare. He decides not to read it. While mulling over what he should do with the letter, he thinks of a way to break out Jack Friday. He breaks out the prisoner and asks him what it means to be a merc. He knows that he won't hurt children, and that seems to be enough for Font. He says he wants to hire Jack for a job. He laughs, thinking he is just a kid who doesn't know his price. But Font recently became rich. He is intrigued and says he will think it over. Later, Font gets into the Gundam to gain intel on the next meeting. He finds out that Angel's Call is already on Earth. Specifically, it is located at Jaburo. The Manzana floor makes it to the Earth sphere. Yi Lychee and Du Luca are going to help run support. Trace Morris is going to be Font's co-pilot. Also joining them is Jack Friday in the Defused. Now that he is getting paid by Font, he is all on board. Curtis reminds him to not do anything reckless without telling him. Some wonder if Jack is going to betray them. For now, his objective is to protect Phantom Gundam, while Curtis and the Victory Gundams focus on attacking. Since Harado is now integrated into the systems, Font has to focus on deciphering the exact location at Jaburo, while Trace, the veteran pilot, focuses on the battle. He says, "Good luck not getting an erection, kid." He also hands him a self-detonating switch for the Deathfist in case Jack Friday betrays them. Meanwhile, Jack is just thinking, money, 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 money. Curtis tells Jack, "See that kid over there? He was the one who dodged your attacks in a one-year war-era mobile suit. Font is the strongest new type out of all of us. He will make you disappear. Look, he even needs to bring a woman with him to ensure his rage doesn't get the best of him. Well, good luck out there." Of course, Curtis is just hyping him up to put some fear in the eyes of Jack. They prep for battle. Curtis tells everyone to make sure Belle isn't stowing away on their unit. Meanwhile, she is sneaking around on the mobile suit deck. They all board nozzles, which are subflight systems we saw in Steel 7. The ship breaks through the atmosphere. Curtis goes over the mission. They are to break into Jaburo. There, Font will hack into the system and find Aaron Schneider's location. Then they will capture Aaron and Angel's Call. They can't kill him until they at least retrieve Angel's Call. Once they break into the atmosphere, they launch. At Jaburo, a battle breaks out. It is Zanscare. But who are they attacking? Suddenly, a beam blast comes from the river. It is the Carmelo. The EMS TC-M01 Carmelo is an unofficial 1000 custom mobile suit. It is designed for coastline attacks where the water is shallow. It uses its long legs, which function more like an aquatic mobile suit, as it has to wade through the water. This doesn't have any defenses, and it is wise to remain hidden in the waves. The only weapon is a long beam rifle. Jack says this is a 1000 custom mobile suit. He mentions that there were 3 mobile suits designed for Earth's invasion, but even Jack and other members of the Circus was left out of Quo Gray's bigger plan. Jack goes in to attack Carmelo. He thinks that this Aaron guy thereafter is working both sides. Something else shoots at them. It is in a spiral. The EMS TC-S01 Spiral is another unofficial Circus mobile suit and is a simplified version of the Cornix. It uses a pair of rings to connect 6 arms. Each arm has a built-in thruster and beam cannon. This allows the unit to attack in all directions. It has a flight mode, but its flight time is limited due to cooling issues. Each arm cannon has the ability to penetrate eye fields. It goes after the Victory Gundams, while the Kurjarugu attacks Curtis. The EMS TC-G01 Kurjarugu is the final unapproved 1000 custom mobile suit and is a high-mobility ground unit. This has a quadrupedal mobile armor mode, similar to the Baku in Gundam Seed. Its lion-like mane is made of tin beam sabers, which function as its defense. Other weapons include an electric shock whip built into the tail. This has no long-range weapons. Curtis whips out his trusty Butterfly Buster. The team is now split up. The Kurjarugu pilot is Ensign Animare Bear, who seems to know of Curtis and his intentions. Animari Bear? But Animare Bear sounds so much better. Suddenly, Einarads come in to attack. We will break this down in Victory Gundam. Head-on attacks don't work. Crossbone is able to slice through its beam field, however. The Kikuruju transforms into a tiger and takes out some Einarads. Ghost and Kikuruju go back to fighting each other. The trees at Jaburo are messing with Curtis's senses, and Ensign Bear can sense this. The mobile suit is getting the best of him. That is when Belle yells out to Curtis. She ended up hiding in Dew's cockpit. They all agree that she should probably be here against Curtis's wishes. He doesn't want to use her powers. Ensign Bear says that he remembers bearing witness to Crossbone Gundam full cloth during Operation Zeus Thunderstrike. Curtis says that one day, Belle will need to use her powers. But today is not that day. He begins slashing blindly. Bear thinks he is losing it and decides to end it, but he was destroying the trees around him so he could see better with his ears. The Kikuruju comes rushing in. Ghost drops down on the ground and whips out his Butterfly Buster. He shoots as the Gundam dodges the attack. Font can hear Jack Friday's comms through the self-destruct device that Curtis gave him. He hears the voice of a woman. It seems that the pilot he is facing is Gordon's sister and Jack's ex-lover. You bad guys have sex too? This is Mermaid Nulvad. She wants to know why he killed her brother. Galguyus from the Zanscare forces come in and attack the Carmelo. It begins extending its legs. As this suit was designed to suppress metropolitan cities, the shores are usually shallow enough for them to stand in the water. The legs also prevent Font from attacking with its turbines. The Carmelo pilot takes out the Galguyus. Jack knows that the weak spot of the Carmelo is the flanks. Jack and Mermaid grew up together and bonded over stealing from people. But he says that kids are not the same as them. She attacks Jack, who doesn't know if he should attack back. Trace decides that it is time to activate the Wings of Light. It's about to get hot in here. The Aspiro pilot says that the Phantom was originally meant to be for him. He wants to murder them as punishment. Jack has spent this entire chapter essentially deciding if he should attack Mermaid. He mentions that Gordon was a hard ass, but he was always gentle when it came to his younger sister. He decides, screw it, let's both go out right here and now. He rushes in to strike her down. Jack and Mermaid charge at one another. Font opens a comm channel. He yells out to Jack, telling him not to do this. Font is right. He shouldn't be doing this. Jack's Deathfeast destroys the Carmelo but doesn't go for the cockpit. Mermaid is able to jump out. Trace and Font fight the Aspiro running in. Phantom Gundam dodges the attack. The Aspiro transforms into mobile armor form. The pilot Diva is so offended that Font stole the mobile suit, as he was supposed to be the original pilot. How dare you touch greatness, you piece of trash? That's mine. Diva talks about how he worked hard to earn the title of Phantom. I actually applaud Hasegawa's restraint. This would have been a perfect opportunity to dive into Diva's past through a flashback. Harado gives them coordinates to the inside of Jaburo. He suggests going in instead of staying outside in the open. They dive into the giant hole. I wonder if this is the hole that was created by the nuke in UC-0087. Diva follows the Gundam. Trace fires at the cavern, causing debris to fall on the Aspiro, but it is useless at slowing it down. The Aspiro transforms into something that looks like an Einarad had sex with an Aranya. Harado analyzes the mobile suit and tells Font and Trace how the arms move around the rings. Its Monosky craft system is also an older system and doesn't provide propulsion. The next couple pages is Diva getting hits on the Phantom so we could see Trace's boobs bounce around. The Phantom's cockpit is cooking the two inside. If the Aspiro does a concentrated attack, it will destroy the unit. However, they will still be able to use the eye field on single attacks. Font tells Trace to take the mobile suit to 100%. They rush in. Aspiro does a single attack and they deflect it. While Einarad and Phantom fight, they could hear Jack and Mermaid expressing their feelings over the comms. Font sitting in the lap of a woman while in a hot cockpit listening to two lovers. Bro is doing puberty on hard mode. Phantom deflects another attack. Diva finally does a concentrated attack. The Gundam dodges the attack. When the Aspiro attacks again, the thrusters compensate for Newton's second law of motion. For one moment, mobility goes down. Font and Trace exploit this brief moment and shoot the mobile suit. It goes down. Font wonders if the pilot also had a lover, and then wondered, why is he thinking this? Bro's horny. Trace is amazed that Font's plan worked. She realizes that Font passed out from the action. He thinks to herself, maybe I could fuck this kid. Then she goes, no, focus on the mission. Everyone meets up. Yi, Lychee, and Do get out of their mobile suits and are disgusted by what they smell. Birds, trees, and just the general nature of Earth is too much to handle for these two space noids. Even Belle tells Curtis that this place stinks. She wants to use her powers to assist him. He thinks to himself how special this girl is. She doesn't realize that most Jovians struggle to walk the first time they are in Earth gravity, but here she is walking around like it is no problem. Remember in OG Crossbone Gundam, when her mother Tetaneth went to Earth for the first time, she couldn't stand for a few days. He doesn't exactly say yes, but it seems she is going to be piloting with Curtis, so she doesn't have to be a stowaway anymore. Mermaid gets out of her mobile suit and tries to stab Jack. He smacks the knife out of her hand, and she proceeds to cry. She wants him to kill her because she will always seek vengeance for him killing her brother. She wonders why he didn't kill her. He simply says his client didn't want him to. He asks if she wants to leave with him together, but she shakes her head no. He takes off his mask and kisses her. Jack says he is glad he didn't kill her, and to not show up in front of him again. Jack Friday out. Kisses the girl instead of killing her, takes off, and doesn't explain a damn thing. Jack Friday is such a mystery. Somewhere within the flooded caverns of the Papillion, Aaron Schneider meets with Kizo, who seems to hate the work of Quo Grey. Kizo invites himself to the party even though he isn't wanted. He is piloting a Birkenau. The ZMT A30S Birkenau is a Zanscare mobile armor, developed for Vespa commanders. It has high mobility and firepower, but it is also designed with recon in mind. This unit has 2 Monosky fusion reactors. Weapons include a pair of megaparticle guns, a mega machine cannon, a claw arm, and a tail beam saber. He wants Angel's Call. Golden Abagors pop out of the water and they attack Aaron's Papillion. The Papillion isn't a combat mobile suit, but it can flap its wings fast and create a beam shield to deflect attacks. Kizo doesn't even seem to know what Angel's Call is, but whatever it is, he plans on using it against the Zanscare Empire. That is when the space pirates come in. Belle is with Curtis and they are finally working together. They go for the Abogors, taking them out one by one. Then Kizo attacks. He misses Crossbone Vanguard but hits his own men. Curtis says that he experienced this mobile armor around Side 3 and to be careful. He also wonders why the Papian doesn't leave. What is he planning? That is when the Papian is hit. Eren sends an encrypted message to Font. He says by the time he hears this, he has activated his plan to wipe the Papian and Angel's Call off this planet. A shell round hits the Phantom's cockpit and shrapnel hits Triss. This is what happens when you rely too much on your eye field. She can't use her left arm. Font has to take the controls. He uses Harada to help him pilot. Phantom's light is good to use again. Eren sends a broadcast to everyone. He says that his ship is already infected, which is why he is wearing a mask inside of his mask. 2 Zanscare soldiers enter into his ship. They have their visors open. 46 seconds later, the 2 soldiers convulse on the ground before turning into sludge. He tells Curtis to cut his camera feed so Belle doesn't see. This is the first time seeing the virus in action, and they are freaked out. Well, except for Curtis. Kizo timed it, and he takes note that it only took 46 seconds to sludgify. He says, man, that's so much better than the guillotine. The Papian begins moving, and he cuts off the comms to everyone except Font. He says he set this plan in motion 10 years ago. He has been working with Zanscare with the intentions of unleashing a controlled outbreak on Earth. In order to control the outbreak, they need to create a vaccine. However, he couldn't make it happen. Zanscare realized that he couldn't make it happen, so they stopped working together. Eren tried desperate measures, and in the process, he got himself infected, which is why he is double masking like an OCD person during COVID. One mask provides oxygen, and the other is essentially a back-to-tank suit. He's a pickled human. It slows down the sludgification, but it doesn't stop it. It can be killed by exposing Angel's Call to 2000 degrees Celsius for 60 seconds. Besides insane heats, this thing can survive almost in all environments. Eren wanted to merely destroy Earth in order to control it, for his own personal gains. But this will not only kill off all Earthnoids. Any future Spacenoids that visit Earth can contract this and carry it to their home planet/colony, destroying yet another civilization. This is a cosmic catastrophe, and Eren isn't that evil. He's cool with one world, but the universe, nah. He's going to destroy it. Trace tells Font to activate the Wings of Light, but he says no. They have to wait for the right moment, or it will be for nothing. They need to focus on using the eye field to deflect beam attacks. Underneath the water is a graveyard of mobile suits, remnants of what remains of the Grips conflict. Plenty of nuclear reactors to set off and vaporize the Papillon. They need to get to a safe distance, or they might be vaporized as well. Curtis's vision is getting blurry. He realizes that Belle is in shock. They are still fighting the Birkenau. Quo Grey contacts Kizo and informs them that the Zanscare has abandoned Angel's Call, and a nuke is heading their way. But he says there is a compartment on the Papian that isn't infected, and they could use that to extract Angel's Call and Eren. The Birkenau uses its claw beam saber to punch a hole in the butterfly ship. As Kizo flees, Font activates the Wings of Light. Curtis throws the Kikaju Peacock Smasher towards Font. He does a little smashing on the Birkenau. In low Earth orbit, a nuke enters into Earth's atmosphere. They destroy Kizo's ship, but he ejects in an escape pod. Curtis tries to grab the pod, but the ballerina comes rushing in. They make their escape. Font wants to chase them, but they have to run fast, as the nuke is coming in 15 seconds. They speed away on their nozzles as the nuke goes off in the background. The keel of the nozzles can handle atmospheric re-entry. They lift the subflight systems and use them like shields against the nuclear blast. Trace can't take it anymore. She takes off Font's helmet and kisses him. The nuke destroys all the wildlife in the area. Jack realizes, shit, I don't think Mermaid could have made it out of there alive. Luckily, she was saved by Ronald McDaniels in the Lalo. That's not his real last name, but I like to think it is. Also, how did 2 people fit in this small-ass mobile suit? She seems to be mad, as though she wanted to die in the nuke explosion. She tells Ronald to kill Jack Friday, and he could have her body. What? Kizo knows the Circus is working with Eren as well. When they became clients, they didn't realize there was a conflict of interest. They will help Zanscare in exchange. He asks where they are heading, and Kizo says Maria City to visit Maria. Quo never would have thought that the Queen of Zanscare would leave Side 2. Kizo says no, not that queen. She is a fake. He is referring to the real queen, his Maria, Maria El Tamo. She closely resembles Maria Pure Harmonia. The Zanscare Empire's Motorrad initiated Operation Clean the Land on the shores of Mexico. We just seen this play out in Victory Gundam. While this was going down, so too was the battle at Jaburo with the space pirates, so not much attention was brought to it. It has been 5 days since Jaburo. They have found intel on where Eren was taken. They're heading to Maria's city. They get help from Black Rose Shipping. Black Rose Shipping was and still is a front for Crossbone Vanguard, but in the past 15 years, they have grown and become respected junkers. They acquired some recycling tech and got into the mobile suit recycling and refurbishing game. Font says that Curtis must have a lot of pools, not realizing the history behind Black Rose Shipping. They pretend that they are delivering a few refurbished mobile workers. It is an old Zaku, a Jim, and a Gaza C. They're suspicious of the junkers, especially since Belle, a child, is with them. They are able to convince them that they'd let them through. Curtis tells his contact to thank their old friend Onmo, and they enter into the city of Maria. Font thinks back to when they returned to the Manzana floor after the event of Jaburo. Jack Friday was silent while Tress was distant after kissing Font. Belle still seemed to be in high spirits. Font thinks that Belle shouldn't be joining them, but she has made up her mind, and all Curtis can do is support her. Curtis says that the air is thin in the area. It was originally in ruins and built with labor from illegal immigration. They know that Kizo is trying to make this place the new capital of the Zanscare Empire. Curtis briefs everyone on the mission. They are to find Angel's Call in the city and burn it. Remember, 2000 degrees Celsius for 60 seconds. If Zanscare finds out that Kizo has Angel's Call in the city again, they will not hesitate to launch another nuke. Though it appeared as though the nuke killed Angel's Call, it was actually the work of Eren. Explosions will most likely just cause the virus to spread. With nuclear winter, it will spread faster. Font mentions that they used an old plutonium nuke. Here, he explains something interesting about Minovsky fusion reactors. Old nuclear bombs use plutonium and nuclear fission to make helium go boom, but a Minovsky fusion reactor uses helium-3, which is mined from Jupiter, along with deuterium, a hydrogen isotope. Also, instead of a chemical reaction, Minovsky fusion involves a laser to ignite a bomb. The laser prevents radiation from spreading like crazy, and if it explodes, radiation only lasts for a few decades. That sounds like a long time, but bear in mind Chernobyl, a real place on Earth, won't be habitable for 20,000 years. So a few decades is great progress. This goes over Belle and Jack Friday's head, but all this to say that Zanscare used older nukes because they're dicks. Font wasn't able to get Harado out of the Gundam, but he has a comm device connected, so he could always constantly be remotely connected to it. Phantom Gundam seems to be hiding inside the Zaku. Is this where Seed Freedom got the idea? Curtis wants Triss to pilot with Font again, but she doesn't want to. She emotionally plays with Font and tells him not to fall in love. If that is the case, Belle and Curtis will pilot the Phantom. Belle thinks that Font is a Newtype, but Curtis says, "I feel nothing from you, kid." He is getting better, but he is still green. They hear noises outside to find a festival taking place. In the crowd, Jack Friday spots Mermaid. He finds her with Ronald. Curtis tells Font about the religion of Mariaism. He only vaguely understands it, but Maria seems to be a puppet leader put in place to spread motherly love. He says the process of finding a new type like Maria must have been hard, and Fonz probably had many candidates. Maria Tamo is probably one of the failed candidates. Kizo finds her more powerful and wants her to be the true queen. He is acting like Fonz, trying to implement his own puppet leader, with his own Maria to boot. Maria Tamo takes the stage. Some cheer while others boo. It seems the people are split on her leadership. One man stands up and says not to believe this woman. She is lying and the reason the nukes are dropping on South America. Maria Tamo says that this false Maria doesn't represent them. She says that once she assumes control, she will give her people what they desire. Most of the citizens are illegal immigrants, and she will ensure their safety while on Earth. She also says she will use her powers to protect them from the radiation. Curtis says this is all nonsense, but it is effective in getting people on your side. That is when another person in the crowd begins scoffing at Maria Tamo. It happens to be none other than Rosemary Raspberry. She is one of the Steel 7 who helped take down Jupiter's colony laser. Earlier, we saw Font quoting Rosemary's book that contains a lot of exaggerated truths. Once Curtis tells him it is his favorite author, Font begins fanboying out. Rosemary isn't buying anything that Maria is selling. Ronald tells Jack Friday that he will see him tonight. If he does anything weird, he is going to harm Mermaid. He vanishes in the crowd. Curtis doesn't really want to get dragged into this. A sniper aims his rifle towards Rosemary. Belle tells Curtis of the sniper. He rushes in and tells Rosemary to duck. Curtis says pistol beats sniper and shoots him. Hell of a shot for a blind guy with a pistol versus a guy with a sniper rifle. Curtis grabs Rosemary while she yells out, "There is no such thing as miracles." Maria Tomo realizes that Belle possesses great Newtype powers by how swiftly she was able to spot the sniper. She tells the Zanscare soldiers to grab her. Belle does a nice front snap kick to a soldier's face while Jack Friday throws another soldier to the ground. The crowd turns to chaos. One Zanscare soldier falls and shoots off his gun. The bullet hits Trace. The people see Zanscare firing on them and they instantly begin rioting. Maria tells her people to scour the city to find Belle. She says that she will be the next Maria. They head underground where they find a resistance force that Rosemary rolls with. Their doctor rips open Trace's top to look at a wound. Font tries to resist, but he takes a peek at those boobies. Luckily, it just grazed her and didn't hit any vital organs. She wonders who Curtis is. It takes her seconds to realize who he is, and she yells out his real name, Tobiah. He tells her to be quiet. Belle wonders if she could ask her about Curtis's past. She tells Curtis that she will never forget the night they had together 17 years ago. This is, of course, a lie that she wrote in her book. Font tells Rosemary that he loves her books. She mentions that her and old man Minoru lived together for 5 years before he passed away. She wonders why he died. He was so lively before that. The others think it was totally being married to Rosemary that did him in. Poor old man Minoru. She was too much for that old man to handle. Since his death, she has been a wandering non-fiction writer writing on the fall of the Zanscare Empire. She's calling it before it's even over. She got stuck in the city, so she started working with a local resistance force. Rosemary knows the city inside and out. Curtis wants her to help. Fireworks begin going off. Rosemary mentions that the festival is happening tonight. Jack Friday remembers back to Ronald saying that chaos will happen tonight. It seems that the circus is going to make a move. Font wants Rosemary to tell him about Mariaism. It is a belief that a male-centric society is the root of all evil. They believe that mothers should be the focal point of every society. This all started with Sirocco 70 years ago. His emotional manipulation hidden behind strong, empowering women somehow evolved into a religion. Well, that sucks. Rosemary hears stories of Maria Armonia in Side 2 performing a healing, and she wanted to see it with her own eyes. Then why did you interrupt Maria's speech? I bet she would have done a Newtype miracle if you didn't intervene. Let's all agree this was just a dumb way to reintroduce her character and move on. The most interesting thing about Mariaism is that it tends to make the woman more accepting of war. They don't seem to have a problem with the guillotine as well. This is all opportunistic nonsense built off the ideals of men anyways. But she does admit that seeing women have this shift is certainly a first for her. After all, she is Jovian. Her people manipulated her into invading Earth. She could smell when others are trying to do the same, regardless of their matriarchal approach. Hell yeah, women could be evil too, even going back to the days of the Principality of Zeon. Space Noid independence has always been co-opted by dictators and leaders led by self-righteousness. But nothing can break her iron will, for the only thing that she cares about is money. Font says, oh, it's like that. While Curtis is working, Belle says her real name is Bernadette Dogati, daughter of Tetaneth, and she wants her to tell her the truth about Curtis. She was nervous to ask, but Font holds her hand to calm her nerves and gain the confidence she needs. Rosemary says it is clear that the adults in your life are lying to you. She says that it isn't her place to say, but the adults are idiots and make stupid decisions to protect you. Yes, it is most likely for stupid reasons, but they are doing it because they care. She knows she will be told the truth one day, and to not worry about it until then. Rosemary Raspberry out. Font is fanboying out at how cool her response was. Belle says she doesn't know her grandmother, but if she did, she would want her to be like Rosemary. Well, I do know your grandmother, Belle, and she was vaporized by her granduncles who were physically linked together while saving Curtis. She ain't ready to hear that. Curtis goes over Operation Vaporize the shit out of this sludge. The resistance forces gave them a map of the city. Zanscare drilled a hole and created a massive underground base. They all get Zanscare uniforms. Font wonders why Rosemary isn't coming with them. Curtis says she is assigned a special task. Special? That's right. Special. Why does Curtis keep saying it like this? This panel has the same energy as the implication scenes from It's Always Sunny. They head to an underground passageway. Font is bummed that Jack Friday couldn't make it due to stomach issues. Everyone tells Font, hey man, Jack is doing a thing called lying to you. It is clear to Curtis that there is something that he can't tell them. The stomach issue isn't completely a lie as he returns to his mobile suit from pooping. He is scouting with Dew in Victory 2 when Victory 1 pops in. It happens to be Rosemary. She mentions to Jack, someone's hiding something. The gang heads to the lower levels where they find Maria. Trace holds a knife to her throat, and they demand to tell them where Angel's Call is. She sees that Belle is with them, so they lead the gang into a trap. She leads them right to Kizo. The doors lock behind them. Curtis begins shooting at him, but he is behind bulletproof glass. That's the same glass that's used by both the Pope and Giranzabi. Kizo says that they shouldn't complain because Maria did indeed bring them to Angel's Call. He reveals that behind him is Aaron, who is more sludge than man now. Kizo goes, damn it, he was alive yesterday. Oh well. Noise interrupts. Kizo says it is time for the circus. The circus begins their takeover as they look for Angel's Call. Jabacos come in riding Einarads, but the ballerina uses its needle VSBR to take it out in one shot. Out of the explosion comes a gem. They are confused, but out of the archaic mobile suit comes the Desfis. He goes after Ronald. Jack Friday begins fighting Ronald. More antique mobile suits begin approaching. Underneath bursts out Black Victory Gundam and Ghost. Kosher says that hiding mobile suits like some carnival act is stupid. Aren't you the Circus? This should be right up your alley. Rosemary's plan is to confine them in a small space, thus increasing friendly fire. The ballerina dances around everyone's attack like a ballerina. Oh, I get it. Jack can't help because of Ronald. Ronald says their two mobile suits are meant to be the spear and the shield of the circus, so any attack that the Desfis can dish out, the Lalo could block. A perfectly equal battle. Now it comes down to skills. Quo tells Kizo he is betraying him now. He expected this from the circus, but not so soon. Quo says that Angel's Call is going to change the future of warfare. He would be foolish not to profit off of it somehow. An explosion goes off as the two bid each other farewell. Font is still trying to break into the glass shield. Jack Friday continues his fight. Another Desfis appears on the battle. This is the revised Desfis. The EMS TC-04R revised Desfis Mole, or Desfis Kai, is built with spare parts of the original Desfis. Rather than utilizing the beam fangs, this version uses the beam drill as its only weapon. This makes this unit great at close combat along with digging. The drills cannot double as beam rotors like the original Desfis. Also, if you get confused, the Desfis is white and black, and the revised Desfis is black and white. Ronald says that Mermaid is piloting this mobile suit. Ronald's balls bounce off of Jack Friday's head. Yeah, I heard what I said. I'm not re-recording it. He knows that Jack Friday hasn't been killing children. Ronald messes with him and says, So, what's a kid to you? Do you not kill 15-year-olds, but are 16-year-olds okay? He makes a great point, Jack Friday. Mermaid begins digging in the Zanscare base under the city. Things are starting to fall apart in the base, so Kizo decides to take his leave. Font is able to hack in and open the glass door. As they rush Kizo, he stabs Aaron's capsule. If anyone removes his sword, it will contaminate the room. He and Maria exit through the trapdoor. Peace, bitches! The capsule will soon crack, and they will become sludge if they don't move fast. While this is happening, someone comes from behind and grabs Belle. He slips through the door and tries to lock them all inside. The team follows except for Trace. Her wound slowed her down, and she got left behind. Font wants to open the door, but it is probably too late for her. The crack on the capsule gets bigger. She has the gun that will melt the sludge, luckily. Font watches as Trace burns the room, including herself. No one could get a hit on the ballerina. Victory Gundam and Ghost are taken down. Bill can't bring out the full potential of Ghost. Kosher begins helping Ronald, and they team up on Jack. He goes into attack, but hesitates. He doesn't know what to do. But that is when Font comes over the comms and tells everyone he started the incineration process, and will need 2 minutes and 32 seconds. I thought it only took 1 minute. I guess you need to preheat the oven. But if the walls are breached, it can expose the virus. Jack needs to stop Mermaid from drilling. He unfortunately has his hands tied. He tries to reach Mermaid over the comms and tells her to stop drilling. Ronald says comms are cut. Jack tries to reason with Ronald and says this is about survival of humanity. Ronald laughs at him. You fool, we are psychopathic, murderous criminals. What makes you think survival of humanity is a priority? Yeah, once again, this one's on you, Jack Friday. The Black Rose shipping director wonders if they should leave, and Font gives them the go. He takes off in an archaic Zaku. Underneath is the Phantom, and the guidance system handles most of the work. The ballerina points its needle VSBR towards the flying Zaku. But Rosemary rushes towards her and fingers her VSBR hole. It's a needle VSBR, so the hole's really tight. Kosher and the Bonzo chases the Zaku. It gets a hit and destroys the Zaku, revealing the Gundam underneath. Phantom lands near Desfis Kai. Jack chases Mermaid while Ronald chases Jack. The wall of the base is about to melt from the Desfis Kai drill. Font uses Harado to make Phantom hold the seal on the wall. The Lalo attacks Jack once again. Ronald goes in for the final blow and strikes down the Desfeast. But Jack is not in the cockpit. He is in the revised Desfeast with Mermaid. The wall leak grows, but luckily the Phantom is hot enough to burn out the sludge. However, that idiot director got out of the mobile suit way too early. He'll be fine. Kosher and Roka retreat. Jack Friday wants Mermaid to stay by his side until he figures out what is going on. The director begins coughing and everyone starts to panic, but it is just due to smoke, not sludge. They all celebrate the success of their mission, but Font just thinks of Trace. That is when Trace makes her appearance. She is alive. Before she started burning, she heard a voice. She swears it was Aaron. The voice told her to flip a switch. It opened Kizo's trapdoor from earlier. She was able to burn the place and escape. Well, that's convenient. She isn't Sludge yet, so she hasn't been infected. Font is happy that she is alive. The director wonders if he worked hard enough to earn himself an actual name. Curtis says, no, you will still be known as Black Rose Shipping Director. You get no name. Rosemary comes in transforming the Victory Gundam. Also, Bill was piloting Crossbone Ghost. Who is Bill? He's Bill. You know, Bill, right? Belle is passed out once again. Rosemary is happy that she has new material for her next book. She tells Font to be on the lookout. She also calls Font cute. Are you giving Rosemary this moment? Oh. Rosemary is struck down from a beam blast from space. It is a Zanuck. We will break down the Zanuck and Victory Gundam. The Zanscare main forces have made their appearance. Font's Kagati contacts Kizo and tells him to obey his ruling, or he will bring down the nukes. Fons also doesn't take responsibility for the actions of the Motorrad team, and all the nukes now being set off in South America. Kizo knows that Maria is just a puppet to serve his will. Remember that Tetenet Dogati is Crux's daughter from his second marriage that was arranged between Jupiter and Earth. We learn that Kizo is Crux's son from his first marriage. 30 years ago, Crux entrusted Kizo to Fons and raised him as his own. He hates this mother fetish that Fons has and wants nothing to do with it. Bro, you married one of the Marias, though. Never mind. Kizo pulls out his sword and destroys the screen. You sure showed that monitor. The Zanuck fires again on Maria City. The Zanscare forces move in. Kizo and Maria abandon the Zanscare forces and the city. They need to leave while Curtis will get into the Phantom and help hold off Zanscare. But Font wants to get into the Gundam and help the people. Many were forced into the city and not a part of Zanscare. Jack Friday thinks this is foolish and he should leave, but Font decides to stay and help the people. Font is going to handle the nuclear missile interception. Curtis is going to stay and help as Font still doesn't know what he is doing. Do still has the boots and can help as well. They will hold off Zanscare while Font figures out the nukes. Jack Friday thinks they are all crazy and have no chance. Harado begins analyzing everything regarding Zanscare. They need to find something. Their goal is to buy time from the nuclear attacks. From the looks of it, the attack on Rosemary wasn't directed at her and she was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Beam blasts begin targeting Font. He rushes into the stratosphere to find the Zanuck. Quo tells the Circus to pack it up, but Roka needs a minute to take care of business. Font is on the defensive and has to attack. That is when the Ballerina comes in from behind, putting him in a pincer. But the Ballerina passes and attacks the Zanuck. The pilot blocks the VSBR with the Minovsky particle accelerator. The Zanuck pilot thinks it has plenty of time before it refires, but the Ballerina fires again and hits the left shoulder. She explains that her thin VSBR uses less power and thus can fire more shots. She says this while firing off 3 more shots, creating giant holes in the mobile suit and destroying the Zanuck. Her needle leg begins melting, and the other leg has been destroyed from all the fingering earlier, so she doesn't kill Font. Harado finishes her analysis. She says that there are 3 locations that are all equally probable that the nukes will land. Belle wakes up to Yi Laichi and Tres watching over her. She looks up at the Phantom Gundam and points, telling Font he has to go. He knows what he must do. He must transform into mobile armor form, Mirage Bird. Font holds 2 daggers and lets the Phantom overheat the blades. We cut back to the Manzana floor before heading to Maria City. Curtis tells Font that the Phantom can transform. He tells him that it was originally designed to travel between Earth and Jupiter independently without a ship. He says it is more of a cruiser form than a mobile armor form. But in order to transform, it needs to damage the armor. In the present, Font stabs his heat knives in the hips of the Gundam. This disengages the locks and the mobile suit is able to transform. Curtis takes out Zanscare, allowing Font to finish the transformation process. He takes off. With this, he can rush to every position quickly. Jack comes back and helps the team. Font changes into a normal suit as he travels at Mach 23. He plans on accelerating and taking a wide berth as he matches speeds with the nukes. He is traveling so fast around the horizon line, he is making morning come to him. Curtis and the space pirates on the ground are handling a dog gore. Jack Friday and Mermaid are arguing in the cockpit about what sensors to use. Jack used this opportunity for some reason to realize that Font isn't the ace pilot that Curtis hyped him up to be. He laughs for being outsmarted by a novice. Meanwhile, in an Amalthea-class ship in low Earth orbit, Fonz is going by the title President. We're moving through this faster than Victory Gundam. He decides to drop a nuke and will no longer tolerate Kizo. The Amalthea launches the nuke. Meanwhile, Font and Phantom is swinging around the world preparing to catch it. The nuke will cause 100 kilometers of destruction, with the center 20-kilometer radius being instantly vaporized. You want to be in that 20-kilometer range and die instantly. The slow graves of the Firefly-type death is what you get in the outer radius. He needs to accelerate more to catch up, but Font is feeling them G's. Curtis, Jack Friday, and everyone on the ground is struggling to keep up with the Dod Gore, but Curtis runs up the Dragon mobile armor and stabs the head, finally taking it out. The Dod Gore is a distraction for a small Zanscare force, and has been tasked with eliminating Kizo. They run into him and Maria in the Midas. The EZM SO1 Midas was developed in secret for Kizo to use. It is covered in gold anti-beam coating, fitting as this is named after King Midas, who turned everything he touched into gold. The beam manteau is a beam shield cloak similar to full cloth. It has the Midas Touch Flash, which is a flash of light emitted from the head which can take down mobile suits. Other weapons include a Kaiser staff and beam claws. It just makes me think of the Midas Touch jingle from the old commercials. Kizo uses the Midas Touch and destroys the Einorats.
Trust the Midas Touch.
Font's arms are going numb from just holding the controls at these speeds. He's losing confidence, but then he starts picking up signals. Anime, news, random TV programs. He is moving so fast that he is picking up signals from all around the world. It shows that life is happening around him. They catch up, but they accelerated too fast. He overtakes the nuke and then transforms back into mobile suit form, while decelerating the wings of light. Hang in there, Font. Don't throw up from all those G's. He plans on using the heat knife to separate the nuke from the rocket. Harado tells him that he will have 6.3 seconds. He asks Harado to optimize by not compensating for his own life. Harado still says 6.3 seconds. There is no optimization this nerd can make. He has to take action with confidence, as he will only have one chance at this. He calms his nerves, aims, and slices. He is successful, but he is veering towards Earth. His hands can't move. He hears Belle's voice. His hands can move. That was easy. He was able to gain control and not hit Earth, but he passes out right after that. Font is attending Rosemary's release party for her novel, The Rise and Fall of Zanscare. She approaches Font and wonders why he is here. She says it is not his time, and she gives him a good old bride slap. He wakes up in the med bay of the Manzana floor. Font was out for 3 days. Belle is holding her stuffed bunny, something she hasn't been doing recently. She must be stressed, Font thinks. After waking up, his senses are heightened. These aren't thoughts, they are intuitions. Something seems to have been locked inside of him. Curtis tells him that he saved Maria City. Since it is a city of illegal immigrants, they don't have hard numbers, but it is in the thousands. Font asks Curtis when they started working with the League. Curtis never told him about the League. On the ground, they were still outnumbered, but the League came in with the assist. They knew to help out because the Rear Shrike team happened to be spying on the space pirates and relaying intel back to the League. Curtis knew of this, but didn't say anything. Curtis says that Crossbone Vanguard wanted to give the League the intel on Angel's Call, but they would never believe it coming from the space pirates. It had to come from their own people. Font begins making connections to things. He also solidifies that Jupiter is indeed supporting Zanscare from the shadows. Curtis and the gang give him time to rest. Everyone wonders if Font is broke, but Curtis knows this behavior. He says it is his mind overheating. Keeping up with the Crossbone Gundams and Phantom causes your mind to race like crazy in order to keep up with the speed of the Gundam. His mind will take some time to slow down from those speeds. He just needs to rest. I assume Curtis experienced the same thing during Steel 7. Several days have passed. Font feels great. He is given access to broadcasts. He was also given access to a conference call between Curtis and Jin Ganenham, leader of League Militaire. Font wonders if this is the real Jin. There are rumors going around that there are more than one. Of course, we know this from Victory Gundam, where that fat fuck reinforced junior captain is also named Jin Ginenham. However, this is the real Jin. This is Uso's father, Hanger Gyuin. They have received the space pirates' intel on Angel's Call. They also hear that Kizo is creating his own rebellion with Zanscare. He is trying to be the new Glimmy Toto, but with an army of mommies instead of an army of lolis. Almost 100 years later and the same shit is happening. Well, same shit, different fetish. Fonz is trying to suppress this within Zanscare. The League is prepping for their assault on Angel's Halo. Uso's father asks for Curtis's help, but wonders if they are truly allies. Curtis says they seem to have a similar goal, but different approaches. He says if they want their help with an assault on Angel Halo, then he will have to decline. For one, they only have 3 mobile suits, and the Manzana floor isn't a battleship. They don't have the resources for an all-out assault. And 2, Tetaneth Dogati is currently working on peace negotiations with Zanscare. They are working towards the release of thousands of new types trapped on Angel Halo. We will go into more detail in Victory Gundam, but we learn that the Marias are known as Sidechickers, whose psycho waves are harvested to use for the giant weapon. Maria Pure Armonia is doing this under the guise of devolving everyone into a childlike state that would remove humanity's anger and free will. But this, of course, is a lie and will be used as a weapon. Like Aaron said, they were originally going to use the Sludge option instead of Angel's Call, but it wasn't controllable, so they're going the Angel Halo route, as most of these new types on Angel Halo are immigrants. No military seems to care about them at the expense of destroying Angel Halo, all except Jupiter. They're trying to make these new types citizens of Jupiter, and thus under Curtis's protection. Font remembers Aaron's words of wanting the survivors to join the Empire. Font meets with Curtis. He tells him of a method to effectively take down Angel's Call, but it doesn't take into account people's lives. He says this is way more efficient, and for some reason he doesn't care for lives at the sake of efficiency. That is when Curtis goes off on him. He yells at him for his lack of empathy and says that he is a danger. He pulls him off the team and confines him to his room. Belle and Jack Friday are making a cake for Font. She delivers it to him only to overhear Curtis yelling at him. She tells him that the two of them should just get out of here and leave this place. He goes, "That doesn't sound so bad actually." Jack Friday says he'll help him if he is trying to flee. Later that day, they sneak into the hangar and steal Ghost. As they take off, Jack Friday will be waiting for them, as though knowing they will be back. Curtis is informed of their escape. As they fly off, they see a truck being attacked by bandits. It happens to be Kincaid, aka Seabook Arno. Crossbone Ghost punches a building, scaring away the bandits. Font and Belle meet with Seabook. He sees Belle and instantly sees Tetaneth in her. But then he goes, nah, couldn't be. Font is shaking from being in the mobile suit. Seabook takes him to his bakery. He introduces himself and says that he is a baker. They hide the Gundam and head back to town. All that trouble was for Seabook's flour for the bakery. Things are hard currently, so flour is a precious resource. He feeds them some bread, but Font can't eat. The town seems dead and he wonders what is going on. They have evacuated the town to the stadium. He is getting food to the people. His wife, Cecily, is at the stadium currently. The boys have left the home to join Ligue Militaire against Seabook's wishes. Belle takes a bite of bread, which makes her want to become Seabook's apprentice. He accepts. The next 2 days, Belle starts learning how to bake. A battle breaks out in space. Font wonders if the space pirates are out there and if they have been forgotten about. It's only been 2 days, dude. He sees Seabook looking at Crossbone Gundam, an old friend. Seabook was feeling nostalgic. Font notes that Crossbone Vanguard's computers had this location in their database. It was deleted, then it returned, then deleted again. I think it's a joke insinuating that Seabook's bakery failed a couple times throughout the years, but it's worded so poorly. He wonders his history with Curtis and suggests that since he has history, he should take the Gundam and help the space pirates. Font can't fight anymore. Seabook says it is no longer his duty, and he wasn't even chosen for Steel 7. He actually seems disappointed about not being asked. Remember, Tobias spied on Seabook and decided not to choose him because he has a family. He says he was a former member of Crossbone Vanguard, and Curtis once went by the name Tobias Enarax. He says that Tobias never hesitated when it came to helping and making sacrifices, no matter how dangerous it was. After the Jupiter Wars, he went off with his wife, while Tobias continued on with the new space pirates, and he hasn't seen him for the past 20 years. He didn't even know about Zeus Thunderstorm until it was mentioned in the news. Seabook felt like he was left out. A year ago, he visited the bakery. Though silent, he was telling Seabook to continue living this life. So for Tobias' sake, he is going to continue being a baker. Knowing that Belle told Seabook her real name, Bernadette, he knows she is Tetaneth's daughter, as that was her fake name back in the day. as Tetaneth went back to Jupiter, Tobiah threw away his identity and life to stay close to her. Belle's tenacity is like her parents. Seabook calls Font an idiot and tells him that is why she is putting all her effort into baking. She wants to make something he will eat. Font admits that when he was helping Seabook earlier, his first instincts were to kill the bandits. He asks the former space pirate what to do. He goes, but he should probably eat some bread. He heads inside and tries some of Belle's bread. Font realizes that he tried to shut off his emotions in order to kill, which led his rational brain to logic its way into killing people. Bread just made him a new person. This is like Yakitate Japan. I want some bread. But an explosion goes off in the distance. It is Zanscare invading the city. Seabook doesn't want to get involved, but he has no problem protecting his hometown. He says he has this, and he gets into the Gundam. Seabook looks at his arm and says, "Come on, old faithful. You never let me down every night before bed? Don't let me down now." That's right, we're starting this one off with a masturbation joke. Seabook carries a truck with Belle and Font in it. Zanscare is heading towards the stadium where everyone evacuated. These are now Zanscare remnants, technically, now that the war has shifted back into space. These ground forces have been abandoned. They want to steal a ship to rejoin the battle. The commander is piloting a Bibrans. The ZMT-XXG Bibrans is the final product of integrating the Einarad into a mobile suit. It was developed in the later half of UC-153 and way too late in the game. The articulating tail of the mobile suit acts as the Einarad. This produces a smaller wheel overall. Beam cannons are added to both sides of the wheel as well. Other weapons include 3 claws mounted on the tail. In mobile suit form, it has 2 heads, which helps with ground superiority. It attacks and smashes this poor guy in half. At the stadium is Cecily Fairchild. Oh my god, she still has Hato the Parrot. It didn't blow up with the Mother Vanguard. Seabook knocks out one of the Einarads. He drops the truck and shoots the Brecking. Font is amazed by Seabook's skills. Like Seabook always used to do, he tells pilots to jump out of his mobile suit or he will kill him. As the pilot gets out, the Bibrans comes in and kills his own teammate for giving up so easily. The mobile suit is giving Seabook a hard time. Belle drops her bread. She is sad because she wanted Font to taste it. He picks up the bread and shoves it down his throat. Seabook said all he had to do was eat bread, and it will solve his problems. It doesn't. He has to solve his problems himself. It's hard for Font to swallow the reality of the situation. It's a tasty metaphor in the form of complex carbohydrates. Font runs and grabs one of the downed Breckens and Einarads. He heads towards Seabook and the two ride the Einarad. With the power of bread, Font was able to speak with the heart and overcome reason. The Bibrans transforms and attacks the two. They fling the Einarad over the Bibrans and immobilizes it. Seabook slides low and slices through the mobile suit. They are able to save the citizens at the stadium. They pass out the bread to the people. Font and Belle decide to return to the space pirates. Seabook gives them some bread to go and decides to go by Kincaid once again. The two depart. Belle and Font return to the Manzana floor. Trace does the Wojak pointing meme. Font apologizes to Curtis for leaving, and he wants to help in the upcoming fight. Curtis says, yeah, sure. Font was expecting to be chastised. He says, so long as you didn't do anything to Belle, right? He thinks back to him hugging her and says, no? They are about to begin their operation, and would have left regardless if they returned or not. They give Curtis the bread from Kincaid, and he gets nostalgic. He takes all the bread for himself. The other space pirates welcome back the two. Trace says that Curtis was actually stewing over Font while he was gone. Font, Belle, Jack Friday, and Mermaid peel potatoes as punishment for helping Font escape. He mentions that he needs to transfer money. Jack Friday gives most of his merc money to his sister. But once she found out that he was a merc, she stopped accepting. He sends it under the name Ashikaga Shogun, which seems to be a mistake, and he is trying to say Ashinaga Ojisan, aka Daddy Longlegs. However, is the writer making a reference to the book written by Webster? Or is it a reference to the 1990 anime based off of the book by Webster? All of Ashinaga Ojisan is on YouTube if you want to check it out. Font says he is sure his sister knows it's Jack Friday sending the money. Jack is thinking of leaving that merc life behind, but he has killed a lot of people and is unsure if he could return to a normal life. Font thinks back to the battle at Jaburo. Curtis gave him a self-destruct that will destroy Jack's mobile suit, but he lied. It just opened up a comm line to allow Font to talk to him. He doesn't get Curtis, but then he realized that he hired Jack in the moment. Curtis is trying to get Font to get to know the person that he hired. He is putting the two in a situation where they can connect. Belle cuts herself. They cut potatoes for the next 3 days. During this time, Font thought about the truth about Curtis. He knows he is Belle's father. The question is, does he tell Belle? if she knows, can she handle the fact that her mother is a co-conspirator with the space pirates? Would people use her as a political pawn because of this? There are too many factors. The crew gets an all hands on deck. Font runs into the hangar to see the completely new Phantom. It is Ghost Gundam. The XMXX Ghost Gundam is the repaired and upgraded version of Phantom using spare parts from XO. It also has an anti-beam coating that is a metal found during an interplanetary expedition. It also functions like a reactive armor as well and can handle shell weapons. Like Phantom, it still uses the cartridge-based cooling system. Weapons include the Butterfly Buster B, the Flame Sword, a flame rifle with salvos, allowing it to blast flames in all directions, and the Kujaku, which is the combination of the Peacock Smasher and the Muramasa Blaster. This also has a gel cushion to help with the G-forces. Curtis says you shouldn't use the names of the enemy's weapons. He gives it to Font. Curtis says he was originally happy that the two left. He hoped they would go off and live a life free of war, even if it meant Curtis could never see Belle again. But now that he is back, he is acknowledging Font's skills. Curtis says they must win this war, but when it is over, he will take his mask off, not realizing Font already knows. Curtis reminds the crew that their goal for this mission is to destroy Angel's Call. They will remain neutral to both Zanscare and the League. Haruto is still connected to the Gundam. Belle comes over and asks for a kiss on the forehead from Font. She isn't going to stow away this time. He has the letter from his parents that he still hasn't opened. He will open it once this is all over, but he could do this on his own for now. Curtis gets an XO. We have been calling it Ghost because that is the folklore name created around Crossbone Gundam. But now that Font is using a Gundam called Ghost Gundam, we are going to refer to Curtis's Ghost as XO from here on out. Curtis eats Seabook's bread and says that he won't lose. The Manzana floor launches into space. The Battle of Angel Halo is about to take place, but Kizo is planning a battle of his own. Maria Tamo wants Kizo to eliminate Maria Pure Harmonia. She believes that she has taken everything from her. Kizo says that he will kill Maria and Kagati. He and Zanscare have spilled blood in the name of Mariaism, and they are all tired of it. They will take down Kagati in what he is calling the Zanscare Empire. This empire is so powerful they have 2 "thes" in their name. I don't think the person who translated this knows Spanish. One of Kizo's subordinates is a spy. Kizo knows that he is working for Kagati. He will allow him to live if he pledges loyalty to the Zanscare Empire. Sorry, the Zanscare Empire. He tells his subordinate to do nothing and watch him as he kicks ass on the battlefield. Zanscare forces approaches Kizo's fleet. He begins his attack. Suddenly, their mobile suits are deactivated, allowing the Midas to destroy them. Close by the Midas is a strange-looking mobile armor. This is piloted by Maria El Tamo. It is the Chaos Rail. Is it supposed to be like Carousel, but like Chaos? Chaos Rail? These names, man. The EZMA-S01 Chaos Rail is a giant transformable mobile armor at 200 meters in length. 40% of its size is due to its giant Psychomu system. Maria El Tamo is the main pilot, with an additional 12 sidechickers helping funnel it with psycho waves. She could theoretically control up to 100 mobile suits with her powers. This mimics a fraction of Angel's Halo. This unit also has Gimlet Bits, which fires microbes of Angel's Call. This sludgifies the enemy, allowing the sidechickers to take control without resistance. This works in conjunction with the Midas Touch Flash. Other weapons include a large beam cannon in the head, a large beam cannon in the arm, and a claw arm. The Chaosel fires its bits, sludgifying the Zanscare army and taking control. Kizo's army just doubled. They continue to Angel's Halo. Oh hey, someone remembered that the Shaitan exists. The zombie mobile suits surround Kizo's subordinate ship. Kizo goes, "Hey, I'm standing behind you." He tells his subordinate of his plan of using a zombie army to take down Zanscare. He then proceeds to shoot him. The bullet contained Angel's Call and sludgifies him and the bridge crew. Kizo proceeds to kill the crew of the ship and infect them all. They will ram this floating disease right into Angel's Halo. The space pirates approach. XO, riding Ghost in mobile armor form, approaches. The battle to save Earth is happening at Angel's Halo while the space pirates and Kizo's fleet have their own battle. Trace, Du, and Yi are all back in their black victories. I think I mentioned this before, but Trace is in a black Hexa. Belle is piloting the Battaya Hard Roller. The Battaya Hard Roller is a modified Doc Ock. After the Jupiter War, Battayas were used mainly as mobile workers and renamed Doc Ocks. The mobile suit uses an Einarad stolen by Font along with the Lalo Ball, which has been split in half. It's a Battaya with fin nozzles, an Aranya head, and has a modified front skirt. Mobility and offense aren't the best. But this thing is a tank and can block things on the level of Full Cloth. Also, Bill has only been in 3 panels, but he is my favorite character. Curtis fires the Kujaku while holding onto Ghost Gundam. The two split off. Exo and Ghost Gundam tear through Zolotes. We flash back to Curtis explaining that since Minovsky miniaturization, there has been a limitation to what engineers can achieve now. It is a human limitation caused by so much G-force. They have been experimenting with different materials they found in space. They use a viscous goo, which when voltage is applied to, will become a cushion for the pilot. All mobile suits during this battle is fitted with this new tech. Goo tech. In the present, Font says he feels like he's in a bowl of jelly. They are holding them off and not moving forward. The space pirates need to make it to Kizo before it's too late. He pushes forward and uses the salvos on the Gundam to emit the phantom light and concentrate it into a beam-like weapon. The eye field helps it to bend the light so the beams can curve its attack. He emits more of the phantom light and fires once again, shooting it off in all directions. Font is able to close the gap. The team moves in. After emitting the fire out of the salvos, the team was able to close the gap. Kizo says, "I don't care about your COVID rules. I'm breathing in your face." Crossbone Gundam comes rushing in. At the same time, the Ballerina, Bonzo, and the new Grego comes in. The EMS TC-07 Grego is the 7th 1000 custom mobile suit. Its arms are derived from the Galahad. Each has an eye field generator and can function as wheels, and simulates the Lalo's ball. It has the beam fangs of the Desfis, and its legs are needle VSBRs, just like the Ballerina. The shoulders contain missile pods used on the Bonzo. It integrates all of the Circus mobile suits. However, it never integrated Phantom, as they couldn't replicate the Minovsky drive system. Also keeping with the Circus motif, this has to be the trapeze artist, right? Maria sends out Jabacos and zombie Zolos to respond. The Grego pilot is Quad Grey, with both the Grego and the Ballerina on the battlefield. Their VSBRs can take down a fleet no problem. They sink 5 Callistos. The Strike Girls think that there is initially 2 Ballerinas on the battlefield. Font takes cover as he cools down from overheating. Jack Friday covers him. Curtis attacks the Bonzo. He asks why they are here. Kosher says they want Angel's Halo and to sell it on the black market. Curtis wonders if they aren't concerned about the greater consequences. They're like, "Nah man, money." Kizo's ship took a hit. He's fine. He's being sucked into the vacuum of space, but he's fine. Quone the Greco approaches him. Font is ready to go again. He checks on the enemy mobile suits. Most are destroyed, but they are alive in their cockpits. Those enemies are being chastised by Maria El Tamo, but their mobile suits are dead in the water. She decides they are useless, and she uses her bits on her comrades and turns them into sludge zombies. They proceed to begin attacking Font. Jack comes in and takes them out while saying that they need to focus. He says, "Hey man, did you know that when you die, you go to heaven or hell? I'm probably going to hell. I will take care of all the people I kill here today." Font thinks, what a weird line of thinking. Of course, Font believes there is nothing after death, so he can't give up now. Quo gets out of his mobile suit. Kizo shoots him with Angel's Halo, and he says he is getting careless. But Quo says his temper is like his father. He knows that he is the son of Crux Dogati. Of course, his suit is bulletproof. He says, "Thanks for the sample of Angel's Halo." Yoink! The zombie Zolots join the battle. Kosher and Roka say that their boss already got a sample of Angel's Call for themselves. Their mission is now to destroy the rest of Angel Call just like them. They should form a temporary alliance. Curtis thinks that they have no choice. They begin burning the zombie Zolots. Quo says that he is taking Kizo's mobile suit as well. He comes from a family that believes in survival of the fittest. Quo says that his master thought the same way. His master happened to be Professor Karas, Curtis's old teacher as well. Quo thinks it is alright if you aren't strong, so long as you're rich. Jabacos come in to help Kizo. Quo explains that his mobile suit is the ultimate circus experience, as his mobile suit is an all-in-one. It actually isn't 1,000 custom. It is a 5,000 custom mobile suit. Kizo is able to get into the Midas. He says the circus ends today. Grego uses the Galahad arms while Kizo uses the Kaiser's staff. Quo salivates over Kizo's mobile suit. He says that he knows his Midas Touch Flash helps deactivate mobile suits, but they have protection over that. Curtis comes in and hands everyone slow-burning pyro bullets to destroy the space virus. Both Bonzo and Roka have a similar device that they can call the High Heat Bullet, which does more or less the same thing. They're going to go incinerate zombies. The Grego fires all its micro-missiles. The Midas activates its beam manteau and spins, creating a force field. Quo and Kizo seem to be enjoying themselves. Kizo says that he met Karas once when he was a kid. Sent by his father, he knew he was there to spy, no matter how nice he was. He was cold and calculated. He says all that calculating and they still lost by invading too early. Quo wondered why he never took advantage of his name like Callisto's Light and Shadow. His goal is to take over this nation with his own power. I assume Zanscare? What nation? Maria City? He is trying to break free of family ties. Maria tells Kizo that a League ship is approaching, but she is going to need his help to turn it into a zombie. He has to finish his fight with Quo fast. Kizo asks him to throw away the Merklite and bow down to him. Quo responds by laughing. He activates the Midas Touch once again, but this time it does damage to the Greco. Everyone's mobile suit on the battlefield deactivates. Quo doesn't have any tactic other than using his cunning attitude, but Quo sees through. He fires a bit towards Quo, infecting him. Bits head towards the Bonzo and Ballerina. It hits Kosher, but Roka jumps out of her mobile suit before infecting her. The Circus is defeated. However, Quo Grey isn't giving up without a fight. He whips out a beam bazooka and fires at the Midas, vaporizing him in the process. It doesn't do anything to Kizo's mobile suit, but it does scratch the Midas Touch sensor. Everyone's mobile suits are still stuck. Roka grabs onto Yi Lai Chi's victory and gets into the cockpit. Quo was able to crack his sensor, taking out his Midas Touch. Maria will have to handle the League fleet on her own. One of their Callistos just lost their engine, so he says screw it, let's sludgeify him. She takes over their comrades. The space pirates are all tired. After burning up the virus, Maria spreads it faster. Font needs to think of something, and fast. Maria transforms into mobile suit form. This thing is huge. It smashes the incoming League military fleet. Font notices the Midas Touch flash isn't being used anymore. The Midas approaches, and he sees that his sensors are cracked. He notes that taking out mobile suits one by one is inefficient. The only way to take out their zombie fleet is with a colony laser. He tells the space pirates to give up and join Kizo. Curtis declines and says that all he wants is zombies willing to bend to his will. Kizo attacks with the Kaiser staff, but Curtis blocks it. The Midas Touch flash wore off. He says there is some input lag, but he can move. He doesn't understand it. Jack moves as well and shoots a funnel. Curtis attacks Midas while Jack defends from Sludge. Font starts to realize that it is the sensors. Jack uses only visual data while Curtis only requires sound. Curtis says that they still have something up their sleeve. Belle is on top of the Manzana floor. She uses her power and fires a giant beam cannon. Kizo thinks that it is a solar laser. Curtis says no, this is a solar system. No different than the solar system used during the 1-year war. But this solar system is used by reflecting light off of the colonies. Over the past 2 weeks, he has been pulling all the strings that he has to have his friends rotate the colonies to a specific rotation. Out near the colonies, League Militaire's Blue Flash Squad is helping out with the colony alignment. Their leader happens to be Harrison, the old F-91 pilot. With him is Twink. She was on some adventures with Crossbone Vanguard in the past. She is also an adult now, with titties and everything. One of the kids that Curtis helped, the one with the lips, has a very rich father who controls colonies. They help out as well. Chairman Onmo of Black Rose Shipping does her part as well. Even Font's parents are helping. Maria is able to figure out that they are using Belle as a navigation system, as there is no technology that could coordinate colonies around the Earth's sphere. Belle is coordinating with other new types around the colonies, creating her own remote network of sight-chickers. One of them happens to be Old Man Uman Saman. He's still alive? Throughout the original Crossbone Gundam, he always claimed to be a new type, but no one believed him. Him working with Belle shows that he is indeed a new type. That was a 30-year joke in the making. Good job, Hasegawa. Slowly, everything in the area will melt. Font has finally figured out how to move everyone's mobile suits. He tells Jack to attack the Victory Gundam boots. He does this and forces the core fighters to eject. The Shrike Girls can move once again. For Bill, he tells him, have you tried turning it on and off again? Specifically, he has to reboot the Einarad systems. For Font, he needs to become a bird. We flash back to Curtis telling them that once the solar system is activated, it takes 3.5 minutes to kill Angel's Call, but it only takes 1 minute to vaporize their mobile suits. Curtis tells everyone to fall back. Maria comes in and lands on a Callisto, turning it into a zombie ship. Her and her zombie fleet head towards Angel's Halo, while Kizo takes care of the space pirates. Curtis is chasing Maria while Kizo stops him. Font needs to catch up to them. Maria fires at Curtis, but he dodges. She then sends out the zombie Bonzo and Ballerina to stop XO. Maria explodes the Bonzo on Curtis's face. She then uses the Ballerina's VSBR, but Curtis uses a piece of the Bonzo to protect himself. He fires at the Ballerina and hits one of the VSBRs. The Midas attacks from above. Curtis lures him into a trap where he finds the Manzana floor pointed right at him. The ship fires while Curtis punches Kizo. The Manzana Flor then rushes in and impales the Callisto Chaosel fusion ship. Manzana Flor evacuates. There are bonefish cruisers helping out. This is their emergency plan. They're going to ride this bitch into the sun and burn out the space virus. Font comes in and Curtis grabs a hold. They're getting out of here. But they lost sight of the Midas. He is on the bridge of the Chaosel. He jumps down and slices off Curtis's arm. Curtis fires the Kujaku. But Kizo uses his beam claw to deflect the attack. He wasn't able to do this earlier due to power consumption. That's convenient. He says that Curtis did well for an old mobile suit. He uses the beam claw and slices through XO right down the middle. Everyone looks on as the Midas tears through XO, but he ejects in the core fighter, which is half destroyed. Jack Friday rushes in to save the core fighter while Bob blocks the Midas. The Manzana Flor's engine kicks into gear. They just need to hold off for a little longer. The Midas destroys Bob's Bataya hard roller. While bleeding out, he tells Font to chase after the Midas and to not worry about them. Both mobile suits begin pursuing the Manzana Flor. The people on the ship begin evacuating. The Chaosel's bits are still active and begin attacking the mothership. Belle and Mermaid begin running, but the Midas tears open the hull. Mermaid saves Belle from almost flying out of the ship. As birdline bubbles seal the hole, Kizo enters. He tells them to surrender and slices off a guy's hand. Mermaid grabs a knife and runs towards him, but don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Mermaid is shot. Maria El Tamo tells Kizo that she is the one she wants. One of the crew members blabs and gives away the fact that she is Tetenet Dogati's daughter. Kizo wants them to turn the ship around, but it is programmed to head into the sun. He wants to ram this into Angel Halo. Font can sense Belle is in danger. Bill is beat up but still alive. Curtis isn't responding to Jack. They are all exhausted from handling the space virus. The Zanscare mothership can't handle the radiation and blows up. It seems the solar system was successful, but none of that will matter if they can't stop the Manzana Flor. The gang thinks that they have lost, but Roka tells them to go after the ship. She says they could use her resources. Everyone on her team is dead, so she now has a ship. On the Circus mothership, Bob and Curtis are rushed to the medbay. Curtis is still unconscious. Bill says to Font to tell Curtis that he leaves Jupiter in his hands. Bob closes his eyes, and he never opens them again. Font says they tried hard to make it this far, but even so, man, he totally messed up those Linkin Park lyrics. Roka is telling the circus crew to hustle while Quill Gray is out on a secret mission. They wonder if it is okay to say that, considering he is dead. It isn't really a lie. Quo planned things out methodically, and was so secretive that she isn't so sure that they aren't playing into his hands. Roka still has faith in him. Also, he pays them well, so these people don't ask too many questions. Roka takes off her mask, revealing a scar. An old client requested to take a knife to her face for a large sum of money. She did this during a time of great desperation, it seems. This politely nods at the fact that she was a prostitute, and Quo Gray paid to pull her out. Wait, let me phrase that better. And Quo Gray paid to get her out of whatever brothel she came out of. She is following his orders. The girls are, but he's dead. Shut up, dude, she's having a moment. Imagine like one of those intense moments with Marita Cruz, but then someone off camera goes, yeah, but you're a clone. Font thinks they found a way to catch up to the Manzana Flor. Kizo is slingshotting the ship around the moon, then around Earth, where it will converge with Angel Halo. He has done the calculations, and the only way to slow down without missing their target is to slow down right before it swings around Earth. This will be their moment to catch up. At least one of the Midas sensors is broken, and the Chaosel is destroyed. Font has access to the Manzana Flor cameras. The Chaosel is still functioning. Font thinks that he has figured out how the Midas Flash Touch works. He relates it to a QR code in the old days, but instead of an image, it uses a Morse code-like pattern to gain remote access via lights. He knows that Curtis's infrared sensors are converted to sound, and Jack didn't have his infrared turned on, so Font believes the virus didn't work properly. Probably lost some bits in the transfer. They are reinstalling the OS on XO and the Desvis. But Doom mentions this doesn't stop them from doing it again. Jack and Font are going to handle it on their own. Trace says that he can't. He won't make it out alive, but he has to try. She says, what if I say I love you? Would that change your mind? And he's like, nah. He says that Belle is calling for him. What, pursuing someone age appropriate instead of a cougar right in front of you? Phew, kids these days. She hugs him and she makes her leave. Roka mentions to Font that the booster will help them catch up to Manzana Flor, but she also has something else in the hangar. It happens to be a Divinidad. These were used by Crux Dogati's biobrains. She says that there were originally 9 biocomputers, but there were more Divinidats than there were computers to control it. Also, there are no nukes on this unit. All this for Roka to say, I'm going to pilot this bitch. This is mine. I just wanted to show it off. She will use this to handle the Chaosel, while Font and Jack handle Kizo. The Manzana floor will reach Angel Halo in 1 hour. They have 29 units on their end. Belle and the remaining Manzana floor crew refuse to cooperate. He addresses his sad army. That's it? They are all terrified but unwilling to speak up to Kizo. All except one person that goes, "Hey man, I think we should return to Zanscare." Kizo casually shoots him. He now only has 28 pilots. Maria El Tamo is trying to get Belle to do a Maria cosplay, but she says she isn't going to be their Shakti. Kagari has a Shakti, and Kizo isn't going to let him one-up him. Maria isn't a strong enough new type and wanted her daughter to be the new Maria, but she can't have children. As their heir to Jupiter, she is destined to rule, so she is the perfect substitute daughter. They are treating Belle like a puppy found in the street. "You're mine now." Belle says she won't rule over anyone. Kizo goes on a diatribe about survival of the fittest and how living in space amplifies this mindset. Belle says that's nonsense. Just look at Angel's Call and its sludgification process. Humans are weak. They can't handle that. Take off your helmet in space. Oh, you don't want to? Didn't think so. It is humanity working together that makes them strong. Kizo does to Belle what Kycelia did to little Casseval. It's not a spanking, but it's not exactly a bad touch. It's definitely something though. She says that Font is coming for him. That is when they get a signal of targets approaching them. They have 37 minutes until they make contact with Angel Halo. With Ghost Gundam and Desvis is a shuttle. The shuttle breaks open, revealing Divinidad. The Divinidad fights the Chaosel while Jack and Font fight Kizo. Kizo uses the Midas Touch Flash on the mobile suits, but it doesn't work. They can still move. However, Harado is acting a little wonky. Font is able to dodge an attack by Kizo. He begins talking fast. His mind is starting to overheat once again. Kizo sees a change in Font. The Divinidad's feather funnels are able to keep up and eliminate the gimlet bits. Roka is starting to make Maria panic. We flash back to Curtis talking to Font. He tells him that he doesn't think that he is a new type. He is a super genius and can use technology better than most. This goes against the message that new types come in all shapes and sizes. But then the writer contradicts himself by having Curtis say that evolution comes in strange ways. I don't know what that was all about. Moving on, 12 minutes until Manzana floor reaches Angel Halo. The Midas attacks Font as he approaches the bridge of the Manzana floor. He is making the crew watch as he kills him. Belle realizes that Font isn't going to go all out until he knows that she and the crew are safe. Belle uses her new type powers to reach out to Font. She says to not worry, and the crew can save themselves. Jack takes on the Midas while Ghost Gundam slides low, dodging them and rushing towards the bridge. He slices the bridge. Belle jumps out and gets into Ghost Gundam's gel cockpit. She goes, "Ew, it's sticky in here." The Manzana floor navigator rushes to the computer but is shot. The crew takes control of the bridge while chaos ensues. The navigator is trying to change course, but it's locked to the Midas. They have to destroy the mobile suit to change course. I feel like if you destroy it though, you'd be locked completely out of the system. The navigator with the broccoli cut dies. Oh, not the youth. Kizo could see that there is a black Victory Gundam head inside the sensor. The sensor eyes in all 3 units have a 2-sensor system, which help to bypass the virus. All this to make the Gundams a part of the Uchiha clan, apparently. This causes Font's brain to overclock once again. The ship increases speed as the battle continues. Try not to fall into the beam cells. Instant vaporization. At least it'll be instant death. Font plans on ramming his 2 eye fields into the Midas's cockpit. The ship is able to break off from Earth's orbit, and most likely isn't going to converge with Angel Halo. Font acts like a guy who did acid for the first time. The connections, man. It all makes sense. The Divinidad does a giant suplex on the Chaosel. It kills Roka, but also destroys the Chaosel as well. Also, the translator on Manga Dex calls her kosher. That's the other guy. Step up your game, whoever edited this. Font looks over to see that Angel Halo is breaking apart. As his brain is overclocked, he thinks of the political dominoes that are about to fall over. And then he gets it. This is how the world works. It all sucks. Jack Friday fights Kizo while Font snaps out of it, but he is too late as he shreds through the Desvis torso with the Kaiser's staff. Jack falls off the ship. He thinks of Mermaid and his sister before his mobile suit explodes. In a fit of rage, Ghost Gundam begins punching the Midas. Font tells him not to mock people's lives. He is mad because Jack Friday was changing for the good. He was trying to be a better person, and Kizo ruined any chance of that happening. He pulls out the Kujaku. Font's moving so fast that he doesn't realize how much pain he is in. Maria and the Sidechickers are all still alive. They're informed that Maria, Pure Harmonia, and Kagari has fallen. This infuriates Kizo. He was the one who wanted to kill him, and now he can't seek revenge. They pass by the broken up Angel Halo missing the target. Ghost Gundam and Midas race towards one another. Kizo's Kaiser Staff and Font's Kujaku break on impact. Font then uses his salvos and Minovsky drive fire and throws it towards Kizo's mobile suit. The Midas tries to stab Ghost, but he ducks and then activates his eye fields while covering his beam cannons and fires. This is able to penetrate the beam manteau. Both of the cockpits break open. Font's letter to his parents and Belle's bunny float out into space. Kizo's cockpit is open as well and looks critically injured. Font just stares at him, and the Midas falls. Maria El Tamo was watching the fight. They have lost, so she decides to go full Phil Hartman's wife and take out all the sidechickers and herself. Font looks over to find them all sludgified. On the Circus mothership, Curtis wakes up. That is when Font contacts them. The cockpit hatch is ripped open, so they will be ripped apart, and the Minovsky drive is out of juices. All the escape pods are in Angel Call infected areas. His only plan is to use a cryopod. They will break apart if they slow down, but if they veer off a few degrees, they will head towards Venus, slingshot around, then head back to Earth, where it will rotate around Earth and the Moon. It is then up to Curtis to find them. Curtis finally tells Belle that he is her father. She, of course, already knew. The two escape in the cryopod. Harado tells them they will fall asleep in 3 minutes. Before he does, he is able to see time flow. They thought that they would be welcomed by familiar faces, but they were unfortunately awakened by space pirates. Not the good ones. They realize that they have been asleep for 15 years. UC-168. They are thrown into the brig. Font was expecting 3 or 4 years, but something must have gone wrong. Everything that they once knew is gone as well. The two are taken to the hangar, where Phantom has been repaired with old parts. They are on the hunt for Jupiter's treasure. Certainly this can't be what they are looking for. Because of this, space pirates from across the Earth sphere search for the treasure. So Font and Belle are the one piece. 2 pieces. He thought after the collapse of Zanscare, there would be peace amongst the colonies. There isn't war, but everyone seems to be out for themselves. He wasn't expecting history to play out this way. Another space pirate gang called the Red Hyena Gang is surrounding their ship. The captain is going to give him an escape pod so they could survive. The captain says that 15 years ago, a mobile suit like this one saved his life from the guillotine. He was one of the children. He is repaying his life debts. Font has become a legend like the space pirates before him. The captain says that their pastor told him that there is no heaven or hell, just like Jack Friday. He shakes the captain, demanding to know who this pastor is. Jack is still alive. They are all out there somewhere. It is up to them to find their friends. Mobile suits surround the space pirates. He decides to get into Phantom. The captain realizes Font really is the same guy from that day 15 years ago. He now calls the Gundam Phantom once again, for he and Belle are now the ghosts. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Crossbone Gundam Ghost. The dream of peace didn't go as Font expected, but he seems determined to still make this a reality. The sense of wonder and adventure is really something Hasegawa does best. It's worth it at the expense of having weird mobile suits. Now that we have ended the Zanscare War, we have entered the age of colonial civil war. No one works together anymore. Technology regresses, and the Earth sphere plunges into turmoil. Next time, we will jump 1 year ahead to UC-169 as we begin our coverage of Crossbone Gundam Dust. Here, we will meet Ash King. That's right. The kid with the lips that Font saved gets an adventure of his own. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, don't go overclocking your brain. Peace.